Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GW2 Podcast with your host, myself, Jebro, and some guests that I don't like anymore and haven't liked for a long time. Twitch.tv/JebroUnity every week at the moment. I hope you're very well. Today we're going to be talking about guild halls, getting the guild hall in End of Dragons, and I have other guests that are also here. And they will be able to talk momentarily. There we go.
Just in a moment. We don't deserve this.
I'm just kind of enjoying myself here.
I mean, yeah, good.
They're on boats right now. And
We're on boats. The entire raiding party has just been circumnavigating Saitan province.
That's good.
Province.
Important.
And it's very beautiful, I must say.
We are in game, so if you are here live in the chat, in the stream, live right now, you can come and join us, because we're going to actually play... Someone's got their worm out. In the game.
What?
We're actually going to go and play a guild mission, a guild hall.
You can't contain your penises.
Wow. Actually rude. I was not even talking about that. I'm talking about a literal worm in the game. I'm going to show you right now. It's there.
I love worms.
Like, and I was just quoting Jebro there, by the way.
It just died.
That was a direct quote.
That was a direct quote from Jebro about 5 minutes ago.
The worm is dead.
Can we be heard now? I think we can, right?
Oh yeah, no, you can be heard.
Can we be a
Excellent.
part
Great,
of the
we
herd,
started off
though?
strong. Perfect.
Nick,
We made it back.
More on NA.
Oh gosh.
yeah, Nick, you can join us.
Hi, everyone.
If any ArenaNet devs want to join us, Nick, get your friends. You can come. You are the best. Come and join us.
But you're also going to have to join the guild.
You don't have to.
You don't
It's a lengthy contractual.
No. I think Nick is
First,
actually
you've got to
in the guild.
apply.
I think
First, you got to apply, and then we'll look at your application. We'll see whether or not.
Not contractual.
There will be several rounds of interviews, some written and some on webcam, and then we will also require a submission of fan fiction just to get the full understanding.
Well, there
of what
is
you
an
can bring to the
application for
table.
Because now that Connor is moving on, we need to make sure that his Snargle legacy can live on. So we're gonna need some
Wait,
fan
Connor is
fiction.
moving on.
He,
Yeah.
yes, departed from the studio.
I didn't see that.
Blessed to Connor.
Yeah.
I think
it was just today.
Great times.
I think that happens with story peeps sometimes, though, when an expansion's released, right?
It kind of happens with everybody in game dev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been around for a while. Did great work. Very excited to see the future and amazing content.
That's the only thing with writing and doing something so good on a game where you're like, I don't know if, do you know what I mean? Like, you've done something so good. It's like, what do you do next? I go and do another game, or do I try and one up? Like that, the writing was so good. I'm just like, what do you do? Like,
I have a feeling that Indigo and Nick are definitely going to do a good job with Snargle. I think.
They're definitely going to do a good job with Snargle, for sure. Absolutely.
I think that might be a title of a Snargle book, doing a good job with Snargle.
Well, actually, isn't Indigo like head of writer for what was the position called?
Narrative lead.
Narrative lead.
It's in good hands.
Yeah.
That's another title for a Snargle book. Snargle's in good hands.
Snargle in good hands.
Let's do an intro. And also, Nick, if you do want to join us and also anyone else, IGN's in game NA, we are on. We're going to go and take the guild hall. We're going to talk about it. If you want to go into the Discord as well for the LightBringers, that is up. If you want to go in there, no one's in there right now. You don't have to. It's up to you if you want to go and hang out with some peeps. We did guild missions last week. This is a quick little plug for the guild. If you want to join the guild, there'll be an application link in the thingamajig so we can send you links to Discord and also the guild and get you invited. We've been doing things on a Saturday mostly at the moment, and probably over the summer things will kick off a little bit more. And obviously when hopefully people want to run other events. We've been doing infusion trains, we've been doing HP runs, we've been doing guild missions, we did raids and strikes a couple of weeks ago. Kreef was there for that.
Why haven't you told me about any of these?
Because they're in the Discord and you never pay attention.
We emailed
There's
you.
a Discord?
Oh,
We
yeah,
linked
did
you.
email
We sent you the link. Oh, we're just circling back. Did you get that?
I never got any of these emails. Are they in the mail? Is that what's happening right now?
I sent you a handwritten letter. Yeah.
We tagged you in the CC.
Right.
Guild news.
We send it to your other email.
You're pretty sure you're doing some critical stuff? Okay, fine. All right, Rookery, what do you do? Where do you do it? Tell us quickly what you would like. Also, in addition, if you were going to go into a guild hall, the first snack to greet you.
Snack?
Snack?
Yeah, like if there was
In
a
a
random
guild hall?
snack there. Like it was just there before you've even taken it.
Jebro, this is maybe the most bizarre question you've ever asked.
Welcome to my world.
There's a list of
That is
very
not the
bizarre
most
questions.
bizarre question I've ever asked. We need to do podcasts every day, I mean, for me to truly.
Sure, yeah. We'll start working on that. Yeah, you can all find me everywhere at Rookery. I am myself working on my full Guild Wars 2 fanfiction compendium. So I think from here on out, we'll probably be shifting all of our streams to just kind of be oriented around that. I feel like I really found my groove when I had to do the application for the Lightbringers podcast. So like now I think I'm just going to mostly focus on that, starting with fanfiction of Jebro and Boots' characters, who I'm pretty well convinced
yeah.
of.
Yeah,
So-
look at this. Everybody look at the screen. Jebro fits in between my legs.
Oh, the scene hasn't
They
changed
can't
yet.
see
So
you.
sad. But just to know for the viewer,
Oh,
Jebro
man.
does. Yeah.
But Rookery, ROOKURI everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, it has an underscore after it, so Rookery underscore. But you can find me everywhere there. And what snack would greet me in a guild hall?
No, what snack would you like to greet you? It doesn't have to be specifically Guild Wars 2 themed. I'm not asking you to
Then
like
does it have
look
to
up
be
food.
like an edible snack or the other definition of snack?
I mean,
Gosh, yeah, the snack
greetings.
that
Is it
I
gonna
want.
We're not
Hi.
going there. Just something you can eat. I mean,
The double sneak
that's
snack.
ambiguous, Jebro.
No.
Ambiguous.
The double sneak snack that I would like to eat when I come into the guild hall is Kroof's Ranger. Really like the fashion.
You
And I
did
love a
go
strong
there.
Norn.
That's okay, I guess.
So that's where I'm at right now, I think. Yeah,
Oh dear.
that's all.
my Norn is pretty tasty.
Kroof.
Hi. Y'all,
intro.
for reference, it is currently 95 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm a little. It's a day. It's
even more,
affecting me.
What's
It's
What's that
affecting
in
me
Celsius?
in Celsius, probably 5,000 degrees Celsius. I didn't go to school for
Pushing to 30.
changing temperatures
it's
into
pushing
different
30,
Fahrenheit
yeah.
and Celsius. Did you just call me old, Jebro? I'm not pushing 30. I'll
No,
have you know.
What do you mean old? I'm 40.
Wow, Jebro. Wow, Jebro. Anyway, hi, I'm Kroof. I do a lot of YouTube stuff. Over at Kroof, I'm doing a lot of build videos. And I'm here on Twitch streaming throughout the week, Tuesdays through Saturdays. On Fridays, which is later tonight, I will try to muster up the courage to play Elden Ring in this
Oh, how's that been
godforsaken
going?
heat. I so far have not died. I'm really, really good for it being my very first Souls game. Not died at all. I'm actually more than halfway through in 2 hours.
You've not died at all.
No, I don't know. I don't get what everyone's talking about. It's so easy. But
That's because you're a Guild Wars 2 player and it really trains you to be that good.
Yeah.
exactly.
You're really good
exactly.
at lying as well. Just saying.
That was my 2021 New Year resolution, so it seems to be paying off.
It is 2022,
But,
so
now I have to be even better. So, and I guess do I have a different question or do I have the same question?
You're just gonna have the same one.
Oh, so original. Okay, so I would probably, I've always wanted to taste Zaitan's many tongues. So if you could like cut off one of Zaitan's like mouth
gummy
noodles. I don't know if they're very gummy. I mean, the texture might be, but the flavor,
The fact that
that's like a bean boozled. Like I just ate
This
vomit.
isn't like an
probably.
order thing. This isn't like a Jebro's like, delivers some random snack to the guild hall. This is like I guess it's a dream situation, isn't it? Okay.
But like, I just want to know: do they talk? Do they have their own brains in them heads,
What,
or
do
do they
they-
taste good? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to do with those like mouth worms. That'd be cool.
I mean, you could probably write some fan fiction around that.
Yeah, the
Ooh,
the
Snargle?
line, I feel
Snargle?
like there's some things that could be done with those mouth worms.
Oh yeah,
that goes
definitely.
right in there.
Yeah.
Like, do you turn to stone?
I just like, yeah, the idea that one of the mouthworms just is not on board with anything that's going on, and he's just like named Jeff, and he's like, I don't know, guys.
Out of any name, Jeff is the name.
I'm just gonna be over here on the left side of Zaitan.
How many oysters does it take to get to the center of Zaitan's tongue? The world may never know.
This has been an especially spicy LightBringers. All right, I'm here for it.
It's hot. It's 95 degrees.
It's also hot in this room. Yeah. I'm also sick, so maybe I'm a little delirious.
Oh,
maybe
no.
like this is all just a dream. It's okay. I'll make it through. You're all making me feel better just by your beautiful presences.
It's the best dream, if there was ever going to be a dream. I had a weird dream last night. It was that my neighbor, who makes loads of noise, actually lived in my apartment. It was very weird.
And they were quiet.
Oh, yeah,
that was a
weird
nightmare.
Bit. Okay. Boots. Intro thing.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
I didn't have enough time to prepare for this.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. I'm Boots. You could find my stuff at World of Vendors. I do videos and also on Twitch sometimes on Boots _. And snack, eh? Oh no.
Was that a puppo sneeze?
Yeah.
Oh, sneezy puppo.
It's allergy season. We're all dying.
Sorry, I gave the dog a cold. That was my bad.
Oh, yeah. You shouldn't have been open mouth kissing that way.
I like to open mouth. I like to open mouth kiss doorknobs. Just in public. I see a handle. I have to.
All right, Boots, keep going. What's your snack?
I haven't done anything today. I'm just saying, everyone watching and listening live, or even not, I haven't even said anything today. I'm just saying.
I think, honestly, I have so many snacks that I like, but probably one that I'll eat no matter how full or sick of them I am are nerds. I like nerds.
I like
Nerds
those.
are so good.
Yeah,
They're like a passing past, like a small table snack, aren't they? Out of anything you could choose, you pick nerds. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that Boots was the only one that actually answered like a regular snack that a person would eat.
I haven't answered yet.
Wow,
Thank you, Rick.
you just glossed over
Massively,
Jebro.
wow.
And he wasn't gonna do a regular snack. Now he's gonna do a regular snack just to spite you.
Well, I was gonna do chicken nuggets, so.
Oh, that's where it came from.
Okay.
That explains everything.
It does. But chicken nuggets with a multitude of sauces. Sweet and sour.
What's your favorite sauce?
Barbecue sauce. I don't know. It could be mayonnaise is good with chicken nuggets as well.
Ooh.
Sweet and sour is good. Barbecue sauce and like a bit of Tommy C or Tommy K.
How do you feel about ranch?
I like ranch. Yeah.
That's
I
it.
say ranch though.
Ranch is delicious.
Ranch.
How do you feel about chocolates again?
Ranch.
Ranch. What is ranch in Guild Wars 2 interior? I was gonna say Tamriel then.
Snarled gold claws.
Wait, what?
It's delicious.
Ah.
I'm so confused.
I like ranch a lot. It's my favorite dressing.
It's the most delicious.
The quickest way to my heart, other than a Mortal Kombat finisher, is ranch.
Okay, good to know.
Those Mortal Kombat finishes are brutal if you've ever seen them. Yeah, especially now. They're very brutal. Back in the day when I was like a tiny child, like when I was a kid, Mortal Kombat 1, back in the day when you had to wait for stuff in the mail, Kroof.
I was around for that.
You were around for post?
I had to wait for a Harry Potter game to come in the mail when I was 5. I was checking the mail every day, complaining to my mom. I was very upset.
A 5-year-old Kroof waiting for Harry Potter.
I know.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So if you don't know what's going on, twitch.tv/JebroUnity is me, Jebro Unity everywhere, to do all the things, mostly Friday, Saturday, Sunday streaming. I am working with kids and adolescents at the moment as a mental health counselor. So if you do want to support the channel, that is how I earn a living. And it's the same with these peeps. If you want to go and check out their stuff, chuck them a subscription, buy the expansion, and support them, I would massively appreciate that you go do the things. Even if you just chuck them a follow, it's all support. And if you go and say hello in their streams and stuff when they're doing the things, that would be awesomely appreciated. And yeah, we are going to be taking the guild hall in End of Dragons, which is going to be fun. First thing I'm going to talk about and ask is, how do you know where to go to get this? Because
I was just smart. Oh.
I mean, you were smart. You literally said one of the first things was, where do we go, Jebro? Like, where do we go? No,
I didn't
Boots
say
did.
that. Oh, Boots did.
I did. So that was my answer to this question. It was, I asked you guys.
Oh, that's true.
In order to find the new guild hall, you need to do a lore deep dive. And you need to know that the island itself is located off of Seitong because it was actually
that's true.
Back in the history where the original founder of the Ministry of Purity was killed. So if you do that deep lore dive, then you'll be able to locate it. But it is actually just Seitong province, yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, because like we get a boat there.
You do.
It's not actually in the map. Right. Well, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Simply watch the Jade. What was it called? It wasn't called Seitong Province. If you watch the Xingje Island live stream,
that's right.
It showed off the portal there too. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, that's the guild hall portal.
It was also in. If you watched every single creator who was invited to the guild hall taking, they showed where you started as well.
Not all of them actually did.
Yeah.
I watched
I
two
know,
or
I was
three
like,
of
every
them.
single.
I watched a couple of them, and they didn't even show it. They just showed the start of the guild mission. And
No,
I
that's
was
why
like,
you have to
what?
watch every single one. Just to
I
see
showed
them.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
I showed it and
your
talked
video.
about it. Wow!
But before, just to make
I
sure,
actually
Jebro,
didn't.
have you gone to the guild hall area in Lion's Arch to
I'm gonna
talk
watch it
to
now.
the person?
Have I done the thing? Have I done what?
Where you have to like put in material to go get the guild hall.
Oh, really? Well, then there you go. That's going to be something that I'm going to have to go and do.
I had forgot about that, and I tried to do it on stream, and I was like, oh, I have to have 100 gold, and then
We
also
have the
guild
favor.
stuff.
We have
That's
the
good.
favor, yes.
You need 100 gold.
I've got 100 gold.
Oh, must be nice.
Yeah, I've got 4,000 gold. It's fine.
I have 78 gold.
Hello, and you didn't give any of it to me?
Wow, Jebro.
My main purpose in life is not to give you gold in Guild Wars 2, fortunately. Oh wow, someone's got a really nice boat. So what do we have to
That's
do?
not very socialist
Let's
of
talk
you.
to the gold.
I thought you were British.
I am in a game. I'm not socialist now. I am very selfish. Hold on a second there. This boat goes to the abandoned island. Even seasoned adventurers need to stay vigilant. Never know what you'll run into out there. What do you know about the Isle? We're talking about the Guild Wars 2 thingamajig. Oh, people want to be coming to the guild. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Years ago when the ministry was at its peak, Reiku Murakami was killed there. Sparked the beginning of the ministry's downfall. No. Or yes. Even today, some people are still attracted to it.
Jebro's true feelings come out.
Jebro, pretty definitive yes.
Oh no! I mean, yeah.
Oh, so you've got to go to Lion's Arch and do this. Okay, well, everyone's welcome to come with, and also people, if you want to donate towards the guild, I know people wanted to. I'm going to give you the option. You do not have to at all. I have the money. Donate to get the hall / guild stuffs. Send me the gold if you want. Don't have to. Okay, I'm gonna go over to Lion's Arch. So where in Earth is this? Why did they do it this way? It's weird.
Valkyria?
Because it's always been that way, Jebro.
But why?
Because Heart of Thorns
Because
said so.
something's always been a way. It doesn't mean it stays that way.
I mean,
Yeah, most of the time.
It's to add to the immersion of the world, right? That like these are supposedly like real locations that actually have a physical existence. So I think the idea is that the portals like are meant to be coherent with that kind of idea, or like, you know. But I mean, I do agree that it's probably a little confusing for people unless like they straight up like go and look into this, right? Like it would be nice if when you I don't know, first discovered about guild halls, or you form a guild or something and you're talking to the guild person, they say specifically like, hey, did you know that as a guild you can also capture a guild hall? And then they like listed all of them, or like where they might be, so that you could pick one or see them. Or
Yeah.
T.
So wait, where do I go? Where do I go to? Do I go inside?
Yeah, you go inside. You then talk to someone. You go directly to the left, to the left room, and you talk to the Canthan representative.
If this is just audibly on and you're listening to this podcast, by the way, we're gonna try and do our best to describe, because I will put this on audibly as well. But people, we're taking the guild hall if you don't know. So we're actually in the guild hall now, and I'm going all the way to the left, and I'm pretty sure it's Minister. Yes, the Minister. Oh, they look awesome.
Very nice little room.
It is, right? Like, I mean, this isn't new though, is it?
No. You just
added
don't
the
really
NPC.
come here because it's only for guild hall acquisition,
This
or
NPC
if you don't have a guild hall, you use that, I believe.
Well, this
Yeah,
NPC is so
maybe.
special, they're hovering above the ground, so that's cool.
They listen to Dua Lipa once. I'm levitating.
Minister of Urban Planning, if I may have your moment of your time, the MUPs scouting an island off the MUP? Okay.
The Ministry of Urban Planning.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. I love it. I said MUPs right then. I didn't say MUPs. I was like,
It's called. I mean, people call it MUP. I mean,
do they
everybody
actually
calls
say
it MUP.
Do they?
Yeah,
Oh,
of course,
okay.
of course. Everybody calls it MUP in Tyria.
Island of the Xingzhe's coast, the Isle of Reflection, dare I say. It would make a great spot for a guild hall. Ooh, interesting. Tell me more. It's a small isle off the coast of Xingzhe. Much of it is abandoned, but what remains of Balthazar's arena is still there. Ooh, the natural scenery is beautiful. Waterfalls, shores, picturesque hills. My guild and I will handle it. Small hand going in the air. Can you tell me what the place looks like? Oh. Wait, what? Oh, nice.
Off the coast of
Oh,
Xingzhe,
nice.
where sea spills over into sky, and
You've never seen this
isle
before?
slumbers.
Oh,
Though its
I love
shores
that. I
seem
actually didn't see this
undisturbed
either
by
when we were
imprints of
doing the previous
past,
stuff. It's nice that they
invite
actually like show you a little.
Yeah, they had they have this for the Heart of Thorns ones and the Fire.
What?
I totally didn't even
You
realize.
didn't know?
Oh, I didn't see this.
Yeah.
like the ebb and flow
Wow.
of
That should
tides,
play when you
we
first get to the
are
map.
between past and future across life's eternal
Oh,
ocean.
I feel like everyone missed
And in
this.
walking their
This is great.
intersection, We paved our path in the
Yeah, this is
footprints
awesome, and it's
we
nice to get a
leave
little preview,
behind.
especially because the guild halls can be like a
As
pretty
you
big
embark
investment
on
for,
your journey,
you know, for groups, especially if you haven't done it before. It's a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah.
In my wake.
Oh, this one's so beautiful though.
Oh my God,
I
this is
absolutely
amazing.
love it.
that's
They
actually
went
really
hard
good.
on the cinematics this expansion, and
That's
they're
one
so
of the best
good.
cinematics in the game.
I would have
Like,
totally missed that. I would have totally missed that.
Do you want to listen to it this time, or should we just go in? I mean, we can.
Let's just go in. Let's do it. We're gonna be there.
Yeah. Why would squatters take to this location? Good question, Raker. Founder of the Ministry of Purity was killed on the island, so people tend to avoid it. Perhaps it's a convenient place for squatters to use that for. Right, that makes sense. Okay, let's just go.
Can we talk about the ethical thing that we're like the dilemma that we're kind of facing right now? These are squatters. They have squatters' rights, and we're just waltzing in
No.
there and taking over their home.
No,
Yeah.
Well,
because
there's
we
more
need a
going
good
on
guild
here.
hall. We need a good guild hall. Get out.
Begin there, then travel
Unbelievable.
eastward. As you make your way toward the eastern wilds,
Get out.
a quaint
Oh, it
fishing
tells you
hamlet
where to go
simply
when you
ask
go
for
to the
boat
Guildhall
the Isle of
Master Explorer
Reflection.
person. That's awesome.
Yes.
Beyond will be waiting for you once you
Dion.
arrive.
Okay. That's great. Okay.
Do you want to talk about the ethical dilemma of killing Deimos? He was just doing his job.
Yeah, let's not get into that. That's you're right. It's rough.
It could take us at least 4 episodes to talk about that issue. So
Demons are so misunderstood.
Yeah.
They really are.
And also, according to Jebro, the Ministry of Purity was misunderstood.
Yes, they were.
Aw, I mean,
Hey, you know, I
slightly
mean,
regrettable things said about that.
there's
Unfortunately,
always good sides. To
No.
Some, no.
not in this one.
Good
No,
people on
no.
both sides is what you're
Okay,
saying?
I don't know. Okay, so we're actually gonna go do it
on
now.
a boat.
Thank you to the people
When
who
did this thing
donated
get
as well. Thank you for the gold donators. I appreciate you very much. Again, if you do want to donate, it's up to you. You don't have to. That's how it should work. I mean, maybe. Right, I'm gonna be there very soon. I'm gonna take a little cheeky. It's Eastern Wilds. There we go. Love these raptors. They're so good. I could have just teleported, I guess. So that's not too bad. So already, my 10% team. We've got some amazing people here. We've actually got like 15 people as well joining us. This is awesome. Good stuff. Was Boots day drinking?
No.
I think that's actually like Rook, to be fair. We're gonna be honest.
What? No, she's
This
sick.
is a water bottle.
Yeah,
she needs to-
Rook is
she's-
I'm
sick.
day drinking. I'm day drinking water.
When you're sick, you have to drink fluids.
That is true, though.
And tequila's the fluid.
Actually, if you've got a cold in England, so so when I had a cold, I lived with a guy and his nan is Irish, and she used to come over every winter. And whenever she'd come over, she said the best cure to get rid of your cold is like a stinking hot curry and some whiskey, and like
Wow.
worked every time. Like the curry just burnt it out of you. Like it just burnt the cold out of you, and the whiskey was probably just a fun extra thing. I don't think
An
that would...
internal disinfectant.
Fun. You know, you couldn't it was the way that you made it so you couldn't feel anything after your entire senses were burned by the curry.
Yes.
You know?
Basically, that's actually the reason. That's fully it. That is fully it. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna go. So the experience is here. We got there's the personage over here. The Guildhall Explorer.
Might I just add, I love that I'm the only untamed in this squad. That is so funny to me.
Oh wait. I think I went to the wrong place.
What are you using to untame?
I'm like just interrupt build and tank.
Oh, okay.
Wait, where do I have to go now, Proof?
Anything else?
Proof, I didn't pay attention.
What do you mean? You
didn't
go
pay
through the
attention.
portal.
You have to put your butt
just
through the
have to
portal
go
and
through
go
the
capture
portal?
the guild hall.
Oh, but I
Yes,
wanted to talk to the
Jebro.
guy, and I wanted them to tell me more things.
You
Well,
must
you
be
will
part of
Get
the
more
Isle of
things. You
Reflection
already
expedition.
talked to him.
Fine.
Had a
He
chance
has
to visit
very
yet?
limited dialogue options, and
The
he said, "You know
advanced
what?
zoning and development
I don't get
analysis
paid enough
should
for
be
this."
there.
Okay, listen
Very
to the stuff.
particular about her title,
Listen.
among other things.
I think everyone has to go through the portal on their own.
Yeah, everyone come through, please, peeps. We'll wait
Okay.
for everyone.
Come through,
Some
yes,
people
my
haven't done
flame.
this yet. Don't start it yet, either.
There will be
wanna make
plot
sure.
as we go into the island and through everything here. So, Jebro, you will get more of your contextual lore and dialogue.
Yeah, I'm just making sure everyone's waiting. I just want to hear it. Sorry, I'm excited. I haven't done this
Missing-
yet.
2 peeps.
I haven't done this yet,
One
so I'm
peep.
genuinely excited, everyone.
How do you all feel about peeps?
Oh, as a snack?
Like the marshmallows.
Yeah.
I'm not a
don't
huge
care for them.
fan.
Wait,
I don't
Pete's
care
is
for
a
them at all.
marshmallow?
You've never
Yeah,
heard
they're
of
bird marshmallows, like
Yeah.
covered in sugar.
Sometimes bennies.
That too.
Yeah, some shit like that, yeah.
Also, yes, they're terrible.
They do taste awful. They are
Yeah.
pure concentrated sugar.
Yeah, I just like a normal marshmallow. For some reason, the peep, it does something to me.
Pete does something to you. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
Did you just say peep?
I thought you said P.
I have to piss. Go piss, girl.
Anyway, let's talk about the beginning here. What's going on? So it's kind of this actually feels like one of the most darkest places. You remember the slums we were talking about, the slums last week in Kainang City? This is the feel that I wanted. This is the actual
fog.
feeling. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there should be smog in Lower Kainang City.
I think New Kainang, if they just added a layer of very thick mist and fog, like in the cinematic,
To be honest.
serve.
T.O. Very important question. I don't think I've seen any kind of like coal burn. Like, you know how the Char are like a coal burning nation essentially, or oil and coal, and the humans in Tyria haven't even made that technology yet. and all of the Asurus tech is based on magic. Maybe that they went through like technology in different, and like all their coal burning stuff is underground for the Asura, let's say. But I feel like with Jade tech, the Canthans skipped the industrial age. You know, they're in the industrial age, but for Jade tech, and it's kind of clean energy. But I think they kind of skipped the coal age, so we wouldn't actually have smog and Kining, would we? We would never have smog.
You could have mist.
I could see that.
I mean,
Like, just environmentally, they could have like rolling clouds. But I guess there is a
Well,
giant
mist-
wall, so there wouldn't be a lot of mist because like the fog,
I
the
mean-
sea breeze wouldn't generate that much.
you can get mist on. Mist would definitely exist. Mist is fun. Also fantasy world.
I like
Are we
mist.
talking about the existence of mist now?
I think we
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. The Tengu use steam. They use steam power, I guess, before they use.
you're right.
Yeah, remember there's the steam in the actual. We have to do a quest
Yeah.
with the steam in the city.
Which in which case, I guess they either used wood burning ovens or coal ovens to heat the water for the steam, or yeah, I guess that's it. Or geothermal energy. Oh, that's the new stuff they're doing, isn't it? This is very important. I think we should talk about
No,
this
this
for the
is
next half an hour.
I
the
agree.
minutia.
We
We
should
are-
probably not do the capture mission and just
Yeah.
talk about
Everybody
it.
just wait here on the docks for a little bit. We're having an important discussion.
We are gonna go talk to the thing with to the thingy, the NPC, and we are gonna try to listen. There is as to note as well. Casimir is here as well, which is very cool. He's gonna be joining
I'm
us.
about to attack.
Okay.
Ayo.
I'm glad you made it. Have someone ranked highly in your guild speak with me when you're ready
That's
to
me.
start. We're ready
That's
to
me. I'm
start.
pushing forward.
Ambassador. Dion,
Alright, I've got the
Advanced
voice
Zoning
going on
and
now.
Development Analyst, MUP.
The what now?
Minister would brief me on the details. Our backup force should be here well before your land use permit expires.
I was under the impression there were just a few squatters here.
Can't be too careful, right? Besides, it was part of the deal you negotiated. This is your guild? Don't worry. I think our backup is here.
Rude.
It is rude. I got it's amazing. There's actually a lot of us here. Fine.
Hey,
Hello?
you're leading the reinforcements from
No, it's
Minster?
Akane.
Akane, intern, second
Oh,
class.
nice.
You the person who approves my unpaid overtime?
I don't... Did your squad already scout ahead?
Ugh.
I love Akane so much.
She's so
Seems like I
good.
need to work on my negotiation skills. But I'm sure we can handle a few squatters. Either of you ever been in a fight?
The use of force is strictly regulated, and it's outside the purview of my role with the Ministry.
I beat out 2 other applicants to get this internship. So yeah, obviously.
Internship.
Don't worry, everyone respect the authority of the Ministry of Urban
Do
Planning.
they get paid in their internship?
I have this under control.
No.
No.
Terrible. Okay, so that's cool.
Oh, hello,
In
everybody.
accordance with Section 45.6.11 of the revised Canton Land Use Code, you are required to vacate the premises. You know how to fight.
Amazing.
It's time to beat up some squatters.
Vacate these premises.
God's the paperwork.
Does these?
I'm getting hazard pay for
Oh,
this,
they're
right?
still going for the talking while we're killing. Is this scale with the amount of people or no?
It does.
Come on.
It should.
Or should
It does, yeah, but at least that's what we were told with the preview stuff. And that they had worked it in so that it could even flexibly, you know, in theory, scale to 1 player, but then would scale
Don't
up
seem
with more
very
players too, so.
Ooh, okay. Interested to see like what's the maximum amount of people. I mean, damn. That's a bit a lot.
50.
Yeah, okay.
Meta scale guild capture.
Got through most of history class, though.
That'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, has anybody tried the solo? One person can't do it. So Corb says that they tried it and it didn't really work out for the single. You probably, it probably can be done, but still would require like a pretty high level of execution. So like if you want to do it like hard mode, maybe that's kind of like the single player experience.
Yeah, it does seem like it could be maybe, at least from what I've heard from various people, that even with like small groups, it's still fairly difficult. Some people have found it to be a little impossible. It might be nice to see it tweaked eventually to where it would be a little more flexible, because I do really like, especially since we don't have single player housing in the game, to be able to like make a guild and then capture a hall yourself and like have that to decorate and use or like get scribing up, like I really do think it would be nice. So there might need to be like a little more adjusting to make it accessible to more people, but I think it is possible. It's just that it would be very difficult, like Herb was saying.
Okay. Really purist assassin. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh god, I'm out of the area. It really does guide you, like, specifically, doesn't it? So it is kind of lit. So this feels very linear as opposed to the other two ones where it was just like open map and you separated group wise, right? Peeps remember.
Yeah. At least this first instance, this first part.
Okay.
It's more of a directed sort of quest in a sense. Like it has more structure to it, and then there are some like options as you go on.
Oh, no. We're getting super loot bags from killing these champions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I just got the thingy daily quest or whatever it's called. Which, by the way, the Super Adventure box skins are pretty good. The purple
They're
ones.
so good.
Oh, the new one, the retro one's so good.
Oh yes.
Not the purple ones, Jeb.
No, the purple. I've got the hammer. I got the hammer from last week.
Okay, good.
The purple ones look really nice for Mesmer.
Oh no, I like them, but I'm not gonna make the effort to get them because I can't bother.
True.
I've actually got no time to get them, unfortunately.
You have 4,000 gold. You can just buy them on the gem store.
Yeah, seriously.
Wait, you can
Or
buy
not the
them
gem store. No, on the auction.
Oh, they're on the auction house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, which
Okay.
ones are?
How much are they?
The purple one.
The purple
We're
ones.
talking
They're
about
like
the Guild
60 gold. They're like 60 gold, I think.
Okay, I'll get some I like. Anyway, look at these areas. Again, this is kind of the stuff I want to see in Canva.
Okay.
It's
this is
very
quite cool.
moody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's sort of purposefully, right? Like this place has a lot of history to it. There's this sense of like the ghosts of the past haunting, you know, the current day. A lot of heavy things happen here, and there are parts of Cantha that are very much like this. I mean, even on Seitong, the bamboo forest and things like that, you know. But there's obviously more that's happening here, and maybe like some not so just pure squatters on the island as we can guess by the sheer amount of purists that are all here.
Yeah, nice. They actually made this their own. It's pretty cool. Like, it is pretty cool. I think I would genuinely like an entire zone like this, though. I guess I kind of like the ore zones in core. Like, like I really like those zones, other than the constant like death good, etc. Because after a while, like it was like, yeah, we know it's good. Like, we keep telling us. But like, I really like those events, the meta events and stuff. I still really miss the time actually of, maybe that's just reminiscing, the temple events and stuff. Like, I actually really love those events. They were pretty fun. Oh man, reminiscing about core Guild Wars 2. I think it's because we know the story's coming out next week.
Season 1.
Season 1 is coming. Woo! Yeah. If you're thinking there might not be much structure to this podcast right now, it's because we're in the game trying to get the Guild Hall.
You know what I really like about this actually? If at top right it says land use permit expires in precisely 31 minutes. So that's our timer to claim this place. And the idea is that the reason why if we don't claim it in 31 minutes is because the permit we have to take over the place is expired. And I kind of like that a lot.
That is cool. Okay, now we're on the mounts. We're following Casimir and we're following Kane. Or are we
this
going
is where
somewhere
a
else?
little bit more choice comes into play. So you can tackle the different bosses in different orders.
All right, let's go. Then we're going over to the southwest. I was going to follow them, but I'm following everyone else now.
Yeah, so there are 3 different bosses that we can choose to fight. You just have to complete all of them. Like, you don't have to burn them simultaneously or anything. You have to complete all of them before the time limit. And each one will feature a different set of mechanics and a different class that might be kind of familiar.
Okay. Everyone, can you make sure you come over to the first boss? We're on the Enforcer at the moment. So we can see the others.
Enforcer can be pretty spicy. It's also...
Yeah, we kind of went for the, I think, the spiciest of the 3
Oh,
first.
crap. Okay, I'm dead. Oh.
It's also very similar to the strike mission Enforcer as well. And some of these abilities, I'm like, oh, could these be the challenge mode abilities as well? Like the orbs that shoot out?
Okay. Oh, quick, separate.
Spread those.
Oh, this is much better than the other bosses from before. Oh, wow. Already.
Oh, a double.
Quick.
He went to the bar, he's like, I'll have a double.
Double bubble. Yeah, I'm liking this. This is good.
That spin kick is so vicious. It's so good.
There's a lot of damage.
Oh my god, a whirlbender. Good
That's
lord.
a lot of damage. Ooh, CC.
Yeah, it's the burning that's getting me. Holy crap. Yep, CC that boss. Nice, everyone's been good.
Ooh, just got to 50%. Okay.
Oh, there's new phase.
I love the idea of like his tooltip is attacks recklessly. Me and PvP. Not a thought in the brain, just go in.
Taunts and attack recklessly.
I feel like that attack could have been the Willbender attack. Like, just added that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that could have been an addition, like the projectile thing.
No, but do you want Guardian to be even stronger than it is, Jebro?
I mean, is Willbender strong?
Well, Guardian is. Willbender's kind of okay.
I was gonna say,
I'd say.
yeah. That's a Willbender over there anyway. That's fun. Oh god, I'm not Scrapper. I tried to res with my thingamajig. Yes.
We gotcha. We gotcha. Oh.
Nice.
Let's lock him down.
Oh, run away.
Get out.
Wabonk. Good thing about playing Hammer is that you just always say bonk all the time.
I can see how this may be difficult for a small, very casual guild group.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that it's not just a cakewalk. Honestly, I think
Well, it feels
could
more
be.
interesting, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I think it actually, like, it adds to the story. It used to very much be like with the previous guild halls that it was almost kind of just like a, you know, be able to, through just, you know, existing and being in the area, deal with endless waves, right? Which,
Yeah.
like, in a sense, I think does, like, you can deal with it a little bit better if you have a group and it's just like you don't have to really worry about it, just as long as you have the numbers that can actually handle it. Or you like bring the builds that can deal with like groups and, you know, cleave them and stuff like that. But here it really does feel like it's more of an like tied together into the story, the location of this place, the bosses themselves, knowing a little bit about like mechanics or different things. I really like it too. I totally agree.
Good
We're
times.
killing the Mind Blade, which of course is a elementalist, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. We love seeing Ellie praise.
We do, yeah. No, this is the Mesmer, obviously. But one thing that's cool too is that actually they're wearing outfits that might be familiar to people from Guild Wars 1 with the Purists. They have the same kind of like white Purist outfits with the masks. The mobs here have those too, so they intentionally put a little bit of a throwback in with some of their
Nice.
storytelling here.
I like this arena area as well. I like the I kind of like the, again, like the Mesmer Virtuoso, the opposite, right? Because the utility skill, the daggers flight, they come down right on top of people's heads, whereas these ones like come up from the ground, right? Pretty sure. That's pretty cool. Like,
I thought that was a really nice touch, and I was like, ooh, do I prefer that, or do I like the rain, but this is just so interesting seeing them like placed on the ground.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's, and maybe it's a bit too noisy for me, like other than in just this instance there, I guess maybe.
I like giving people quickness. It's a fun thing to do.
I love that you like giving people quickness because I like getting quickness.
I've got a lag right now. It's not as good as
So
this, but
helpful.
it's,
Alacrity is pretty cool too.
Someone's in the corner like, I can give regen, and we're like, cool.
Yeah, all right, whatever, man.
That's me, my wings
mean,
of resolve. Like, I do a little bit of support, right?
Oh, they're down in the Spectre. That makes sense. Down in the.
I love that all the other bosses got a unique title for their like elite spec,
Oh, yeah.
and then the Spectre's just like, I'm the Spectre.
A Spectre, yeah.
It's a pretty cool name though. I like that name. I do. it's
Oh,
got the
no.
wells. Nice. Okay,
This is
cool.
probably fine, right?
Massive
I don't
well.
need to get out of this, do I?
It's the danger siren going by in the distance that's just
Yeah.
warning everybody about the mechanic.
Got so much I had so much barrier there. Jesus.
I just love that Akane is like, like off on the side. Like you just won't go down. Oh my gosh, fine.
Big fan of that move, aren't you? Well, Akane's actually smart because Akane's not actually stood in the AoE once. So the NPC's
like-
already doing better than us.
I'm gonna play at range.
Yeah. Oh, they
I
are?
was just kind
Oh,
of
shoot.
standing directly in the AoE. I don't think the AoE was
gonna
doing
die.
anything.
Oh, it was
Meow.
the stun. It was the stun well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the Spectre of the three is like I like the fight mechanics, but is like maybe not as much of a threat as the other two in a sense. Especially the Willbender. The Willbender I think is the hardest, absolutely.
The biggest
of the
threat
three.
is trying to get out.
Oh, it's
Moving.
We're stuck.
I'm sorry, I just was following everybody.
Where
No,
are we
I was
going?
as well. I
This
did
is a
not realize that we're
hard,
going
hard
out.
encounter.
We were going in a circle. We were just wanting to be together as a guild. This is
It's a
fine.
nice cave, though. It's a very nice cave.
It is. It's really,
So good.
really. There is a lot of awesomeness in this area. It's very cool.
Oh, not the ritualist already
Dazzle
attacking us.
Kapow is the only one who knew how to escape the cave.
That is some intense range that the ritualist has.
Hello, chat as well. If you have any questions for us, who in the chat has not done the guild hall? Who wants to do the guild hall? Let us know. Interested.
Oh, what's all this stuff? This looks like
I
damage.
love these bosses
Those
a
are
lot.
mechanics.
You like the bosses a lot? Why do you like
I
the
do
bosses
wish,
a lot?
just because they are so much more interesting than maybe the other guild hall bosses, and especially in a guild context, I'm like, could this be a guild mission, or could this be like a reoccurring guild event? They're really, really good, and it's like, I guess they aren't only used once, considering that some of these are used during the strike mission, which is nice to see. But still, guild stuff is always nice.
I mean,
You
it would be
definitely have
really
that.
cool if, like if they decided to do something, like you were saying, repurposing these, you could almost recontextualize this particular mission and be like, the purists are trying to retake the island, or, you know, and kind of have a repeatable version of this. And you could add something like that into the other guild halls. Of course, it would take additional work, but I do think that having that little, like, quest or repeatable stuff, they could maybe make like reuse of certain things that already exist in the game.
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Because
And
at the
just
moment,
enjoy.
like, it feels like why? I mean, this is the thing, Rook, right? I mean, like, it's exactly like you're saying. They make the effort of making a guild hall. Like, that's a lot of effort. This is a big map. Like, there's a whole quest line. There's all the things you got to put in there. But like, what about the guild? Like the quests and stuff. I mean, like, it just feels so detached. Oh, nice.
There it is.
We did it.
Got it.
They left. They're gone.
Really good encounter.
Is that it?
I
have-
Is that actually it?
I think it's quite clear that this guild is just really good.
This is like an
Obviously.
incredible guild right here. So
I was able to pretty comfortably do this with 10 people for my guild. So I would say like I'd say like 8, 10 people is probably like a good size for like a strike mission-esque feel.
World you're
mean,
attempting to join is full.
Oh yeah, sometimes this happens.
What?
Oh,
I think you
You
can
get
just
pointed
can
out.
go back into the guild hall. Like if you do
Oh.
G, it'll probably just take you if you do the
Okay.
guild hall travel.
Do
But
you
yeah,
What would I have to use to take it by myself?
Probably a guardian or a necromancer. Probably like
Yeah,
Reaper.
necro maybe.
Something
Yeah,
with
Joyce.
damage but
What
self-sustain.
about a revenant?
You'll probably die. I don't think you can
Revenant
do it
would be
with
rough,
that.
yeah.
Or
The
maybe.
battle?
Actually, if you
went
have a
with
life
this-
siphon,
Yeah,
Shiro,
this
maybe.
CC build, yeah, you could do. You could go for like the full heal, like Ventari / new Vindicator stuff.
I think it would
How do I-
take you an incredibly long time.
It sounds like
I mean,
a
I
Root's
think
bad build video to me.
No.
Boots Bads builds does the guild hall.
Especially because you only have 30 minutes. I think that's maybe one thing. If you're doing it solo, they could just get rid of the timer. That'd be a compromise, I guess.
Yeah. And then you can just chip away at it. Because it does seem like right now, even with that new scaling feature that they added in, which I think again is like such a good idea for the longevity of, you know, guild halls, or even like making them more accessible to people to use almost as like housing or things like that. I love the idea of it, but it does feel like you were saying, Kroof, that like right now for the vast majority of people comfortably, you're going to be running about what you would baseline want to run anyway for the other guild halls, like 5 to 10 people, you know? So it's sort of like if it's going to be more scalable, maybe at higher levels we see it shine a little bit more, but it does seem like it would be pretty tough for most people, and from what I've heard from people, to like go in just one or just a couple of people. So if they adjusted something, with the time limit, or even with just, I don't know, possibly the scaling on that smaller end, their health bars, I'm not sure, but I think it could help a little bit in that regard, so that more people could just get it if they wanted to, if they even only had a guild of 1.
If you want to drop 100 gold, you can have your guild hall all to yourself.
Appreciated.
Yeah, so you got to drop 100 gold. I mean, it is effectively, if you have it for yourself, then it is your personal home instance. You can think of it that way. And I think there probably are people that do that to that degree. They probably get people to help them take it, and then they do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing though is that, like, why not make that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, if they don't want to add in the future, they can't, or for whatever reason, add in something like true instance single player housing, or like a room or something like that, which I still have faith that at some point that could be something they could implement, and we could see it as a future feature, because you know, they have a lot of the technology already. But if you have these gorgeous halls, I think you can quickly turn this into a selling point in your game if you do just make these even current halls essentially like a region that one player could have, and like could decorate and could upgrade and could, you know, it could be like a long-term thing. But like, if you think about that and you compare it to other games where you're like, oh, you get a house, I get an entire map zone with like multiple buildings, and I can, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they don't do that because the number of instances would skyrocket. I'm not sure if that would be hard to sustain, but it seems like, you know, if you're able to pull this off with one player, and if they are trying to add in scaling stuff, why not like adapt this to be something that could essentially be a stand-in for players who really want something like instance housing, which is a big draw in a lot of modern MMOs right now, and is a huge thing that many MMOs are trying to like flesh out or implement.
It's the one thing that is missing. It's the most iconic thing in MMORPGs that exists now in a lot of them, that especially modern ones, that is missing. So Elder Scrolls Online, like, I make comparisons to this because I think it's the biggest, I think it's the best comparison probably, other than the specifically how much money you pay for different things. I think Warframe is another good one, obviously, that you've said, Rick, in the past, in terms of like that old school kind of just like, you know, third person, all the things, you know, the worlds that you traverse, and etc, etc. But like with ESO, like housing is massive. Like, you know, every single time there's anything that comes out for the game, it's like always new furnishings, always new, Lord of the Rings as well. And yeah, so Lord of the Rings has a ridiculous housing system. Final Fantasy 14 has a ridiculous housing system. But ESOs is like, you can get furnishings on the store, and I have I'm not a massive fan of how much they sell the furnishings for. I think they're kind of expensive.
Oh, I've actually shared this before, at least on my stream. It's funny because I think out of all the MMOs that you listed, ESO has the best housing system, right? They have the widest range of houses. They have instance housing. You can own multiple houses. They're account-wide houses, right? But while you can fully, like, you can get your crafters up to the point where like you can get all the different, you know, blueprints and things that you would want, and learn those, and like go through and craft every piece of furniture so that you're not spending any outside cash. But they like very clearly design the system to be a monetary thing. Like if you go in and you're in the housing decorative interface, you're in your house decorating, the thing that pops up is literally like a direct pay real money to just buy this furniture and put it in your house right now. Like it's the interface. and I didn't know that when I started. I thought the only way you could get furnishing in ESO was to do like cash money. Yeah, and that you could just like occasionally make or craft stuff, but that like most of the stuff was cash. So there was like a month where I spent hundreds of dollars on it, and I had to like actually cut myself off in ESO because I was like trying a decorating project, and and it was actually pretty awful.
Yeah, so you can get there isn't as much on the store now as there used to be. Like you can with antiquities and new systems that are coming in, you can get ridiculous new stuff. Thankfully, you can earn it in game. Thankfully, but that's what Guild Wars 2. Well, Guild Wars 2 will probably actually sell it more, I think, than be able to earn it based on the history of the game and like what the amount of skins and stuff we get for achieving things, like mount and glider skins and stuff like that. I don't know.
But those are they're a little different, I think, though, because like furnishing could be something we already have scribing, right? And like there are items that you can scribe and create, and there's a lot that you can make. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. So it seems to me like, well, maybe they could add some just like direct to buy furnishings into the store. We don't have those already for guild halls, so it seems like it could just be a way for them to expand on an existing crafting gathering system and like give people even more incentive and like add more stuff into that, and then people could maybe just buy it if they didn't want to craft it or they didn't have scribing off of the market. But like, yeah, I think it would work. Like 14 has its own problems with housing. There's so many that you could list, but like many other games have addressed this, and like 414's like weird quirks with housing, it still is a huge component of the game, and there's still so much that people are able to do with it. So I'd like to see it be a little more accessible one-on-one for players in Guild Wars 2 beyond just having to have like a big group or big guild.
Wait, if I go to the guild person, I can
just taking pictures. Don't mind me.
Wait, which person? Which person, reader? Sorry, I'm confused. Yeah, no, agreed. Like it's the initiative. No, sorry. Oh, okay.
There's a very beautiful cherry blossom tree on the middle of a single, spire rock, and they put, I guess at nighttime they put a spotlight basically on it from the sky. And looks very nice.
This guild hall is extremely beautiful.
It is so gorgeous.
A lot of the more player-focused leisure areas that they've done for End of Dragons, like the guild hall and also the new Thousand Seas Pavilion Pass, they're so beautiful and so well done, and they just really hit that aesthetic feel that I really appreciate.
You've got so much background noise, Proof. Damn. How many fans have you got going? Have you got like
2?
Kroof did say it's super hot there, Jebro.
I'm just saying. I'm asking how many fans.
The window is open, Jebro, and I live by the highway.
You live by the highway?
Yeah.
What upgrades? Oh, check out look at Pal Gilmore. Wait, what? He's I've never seen an NPC wear glasses that awesome before. Okay.
Who?
Jebro's just really admiring the NPC's fashion wars right now.
I'm totally, actually.
Gosh, this place is so pretty. So it's funny, I guess when we previewed it, we must have been able to preview it at like, I don't know, upgrade level 1 or something, early, because I didn't actually see the version of the guild hall where a lot of these buildings are completely boarded up and stuff.
Do you want to go? Should we go and have a look before I do any upgrading? Let's go do that. Let's have a look at some of the stuff. So
this
like,
whole place is
general,
I'm gonna be fishing.
I'll do the level 1 upgrades as well. With the favor, I can do that. I think I've got enough-ish. Actually, Black Desert Online housing I've not experienced really. So,
Which one?
Black Desert Online. I didn't even know it had one. That's actually kind of surprising that they do. Although not really, I guess, because they just don't have dungeons or anything, do they? I don't know. Like they don't seem to have like Anyway,
BDO has a whole other. BDO has a lot of areas that it really excels, and I think has been incredibly cutting edge as an MMO.
Yeah.
But it also has fallen prey to certain elements, being more PvP oriented, and also having like robust pay to win options. It's a little bit rough, and it's so because they were supposed to be releasing like Crimson Desert or something that was going to be a more PvE focused version that had story and all kinds of stuff. But I'm not totally sure if that ever panned out. So
that's gone single player RPG, I think. And that's what it's going to be. Which is unfortunate. Because yeah, that was actually going to be exciting. Plus, they didn't have a roadmap as well for like. Oh, they added dungeons. I'm not sure if they did. Did they actually add them?
With beer.
If they did, then I'm probably gonna have a look at that because the combat is bloody awesome. The combat is one of the best things about that game.
I love the combat, but then I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, that's the problem. That is the biggest problem because it's just grinding.
I mean, and one of the things that is actually when we're talking about housing with all these different MMOs, the thing is that like Guild Wars 2's system is actually really good if you've done scribing or you've decorated a guild hall before. The major restriction is amount of objects that can be placed within like X amount of space, right? But you have freedom, complete and utter freedom to place objects wherever, to float them, hover them, you know, clip them into stuff, move them into things, which is something that in housing I've seen more and more, especially in lots of different MMOs, being an option that people really want because some of the builds people do in housing is just ridiculous. So, I mean, like, if you are getting this guild hall and you're going to decorate it, there is a ton that you can do. There's so much that you can do even in the game as it is. But like we've been talking about with like additional support or even like making this something that would be more available to players like a smaller scale or like instant solo housing where they then did some upgrades where you could put like more items within a specific area or stuff like that. Like, I think we would actually really see a housing community thrive in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Because
I want to see apartments in Kaining City. That's a good way to.
I would have loved
upgrade
Kaining
things.
apartments.
Hey, Jebro, have you been to the special decorations vendor yet?
I have not. Let me have a look. Okay.
Look at the first item in the special. I'm right
okay.
next to it if you want to see me.
Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, how big would you want a guild house to be? Like, I guess, like maybe you could have different sizes, like they do have in Elder Scrolls Online, for example. I mean, if you could buy, what do you think you? I mean, I don't mind having this conversation a little bit. Like, but what would you want to have like different sizes and kind of it would be a gem sort of thing, or would you want to unlock it and like, what would you want to do?
What could I do?
For apartments?
Or
Like, well, for like, would you want to buy it or would you want to earn it? Would you want to? What would you want to do?
Probably.
Would
I mean,
would
you always
wanna,
want to earn things, right?
It's preposterous to think those
Yeah.
That's the wrong person.
I mean, I would hope that they would at least kind of like lead us into unlocking it, right? And then you could upgrade it or expand it or things like that down the road. I mean, even if they just started out with like a room, I've even been wondering because with Arborstone, when you upgrade everything in Arborstone, it's gorgeous, but the command quarters are still suspiciously empty. And some little part of me was like, I wonder if they're going to make that something that would be like a decoratable room or so even if it was a room, I think like having a way to like let people do that, I think that would be great. If they did do something though, where you could have individual houses or like have a little mini version of something like this, I mean, obviously that would be amazing. Even if they just took like one chunk of this island, like one building, and you could decorate it as opposed to the guild hall size, that'd be really cool.
Huh.
So Jeb, you saw it? You saw
I
the
did,
thing?
yeah. Golden sink, 10k.
Literally a gold sink.
I wonder if anyone
It's
actually
10,000 gold.
Is that an achievement thing? I wonder if that's an achievement.
I wonder.
Thing.
I
That'd
wonder.
be interesting. Wow.
Who has the legendary gold sink?
I mean, it's gonna be rare, right? I mean, it's gotta be.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
Guild MM
Introduced
has a few, I
April
bet.
Fools.
That
It
makes
was-
sense. That
It
makes
was April
sense.
Fools 2020 that it was introduced, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Outtro service.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I thought it was a new thing with this. Never
Oh,
seen
and
it.
it's only available during the month of April.
Oh, no way! Oh wow, so it's like super rare.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
That's
awesome.
cool.
That is cool. Okay, so I've kind of looked around everywhere. Oh, I haven't looked at the underground bit, which I wanted to go and check out a little bit more. Yeah, I think. Okay, so I talk about it, yeah, so a little bit more. But like they do a really, really cool thing actually, where you can either buy the house that you want specific outright for like money, and it could be up to, I mean, I think they can cost up to about 150 bucks. I think they're quite expensive. Or you can grind out a zone and do all the quests, and you can buy it with gold, and it's like 2 million gold. Now bear in mind that gold is not that as it's not as worth as it is here. Like a gold here, like a gold there is probably like a bronze there or copper or whatever. It's nothing.
And there are a lot of houses that are cash specific. Like there are some that you can buy with real money or that you can buy with in-game, but like most of the really nice, really fancy ones are just straight up money. Like real hard cash, but they do sometimes give away fancy ones like during seasonal events if you like participate and get it.
That's true. Then the community has to unlock the actual thing. Have to get towards the yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a different thing, but I think the store always in ESO. I've always a little bit questionable about how much money they charge for things, but that's another conversation anyway.
Yeah, they've been getting better. I mean, honestly, I think like in Guild Wars 2. Most people will be happy for just about anything. And it is like these guild halls. Like it would be great if we had different sizes of things, like an apartment or like a smaller house, and then something, you know, that would be like a mansion or estate. I see even chat talking about that. But like even just having anything would be great, because like ultimately you can have a guild and you can essentially get an entire map zone to yourself and decorate that, which is already like probably the largest area you can acquire for decorating in most MMOs that I've played or know of. But like again, how many people are really going to be doing that? And then the upgrading, that's another big thing. I'm curious like how you all feel about the upgrade methods. I honestly think they're so cool, and I really love that, especially for the guild halls, you get to like work so hard together. But I can imagine that for like a single player or something like that, I mean, I don't know, unless you were already just super wealthy and you were sitting on so much stuff in the game that like you could just upgrade it without a second thought. But like some of the stuff is pretty challenging to max out or upgrade. Yeah. So I feel like that also prevents a lot of people from engaging with guild halls.
Yeah, it seems pretty, it's pretty immense. I know it's a sink, but it's like, you know, how much does that actually benefit you? Is this purely like cosmetic? How often do you go in there? How beneficial is it? And it's like, oops. That's the problem. That's the problem I've always been like, you know, do I ask people to, so I'm always just like, if you want to donate towards the things, go do the things. But like, otherwise, I've never been hardcore pushed. I know Reader Geek is like pretty damn awesome at what they do in the Joko Guild. Because peeps enjoy that kind of stuff. So I think that there's definitely a market for it. Hopefully one day. Guild Hall, generally, experience. How good is it compared to the others? What do we think?
This is beautiful.
It's top notch. It's my favorite.
So go and lead from the first experience of specifically getting the hall. How was the quest in comparison?
I mean, it's similar. Less difficult than the other ones, I'm guessing, but similar. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I've only ever done the Lost Precipice one, so I don't have that much experience. But I like this one.
Okay. Damn, we should have done that one then.
I think most of the other ones are fairly similar, right? Like they are pretty like a formulaic thing. We have Windswept Haven, and I think it's pretty similar with another guild that I do, but I'm pretty sure that it's similar in structure. So like I think like we were talking about as we played, this one's quest I think feels maybe a little bit more reflective of the actual action and the storytelling and what's happening on the island and the history of the island. I like that it's, you know, kind of interesting, has some little mechanics, but I also don't think that it's something that, again, like people need to block out 6 hours to do, which is good. I mean, there could be something to say about like having a really hardcore, really intense, you know, acquisition, but to me, if you're coming in with that group, like we said, like Kroof, you put it out between like 5 and 10 players, I think this will be pretty comfortable to do. It's not going to be something that is going to be impossible. You're going to get through it pretty quick like we did, you know. So I think it feels good in that regard. I would just like to see maybe a little bit more of the extreme like scaling with like smaller groups.
Yeah.
The overall execution with the cutscene, and of course, as we've been talking about, the quest line with Akane and Casimir, and pushing forward with like permits, that made it feel much more grounded in the world of Tyria, and not just like this is a side like guild hall thing that actually doesn't affect the lore or anything. It felt more connected, so I appreciated that a lot.
It's also just so beautiful.
I'm just
Like I'm
testing.
flying around and I'm just like awestruck every time I turn around and see some new angle. Like as you sweep over the bay, or you like look up at the bell that's kind of set in that like along the pathway. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. The details are off the charts in this one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be fishing here for a while. Don't.
There's a lot of water. There is a lot of water. Like I am way out here. It is pretty cool. There's a lot. I'm just surprised there's not more fishing holes there.
My only critique would be that I think the cinematic for the guild hall should have played once you enter it for the first time, because I totally missed the cinematic from the guild hall person in Lion's Arch.
Oh, you got to experience it with your friends.
Yes.
So this is like. So Saitang Province, I was when we were talking about it the other time, I was like this map reminds me most of Mijima Island, but I correct myself. This map reminds me most of Mijima Island now. And look, you even got the Torii Gate in the water here. Well, the Torii, it's like a little sunken. Maybe needs some repair. Do you think this Torii is gonna be floating again and like on a nice little pillar when you upgrade the hall?
Could be.
I would love to
I
see
haven't actually.
a upgraded hall, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it fully upgraded yet.
I haven't either.
Ooh, has anyone got one? That would be cool to see.
Let me see. How
When
do
you
you
change
switch
guild
maps?
halls, does your guild level reset to 0?
I think everything just switches over, like including. I've heard that your decorations just appear like in literally like, the same place, right?
Yeah, which is a little bit ridiculous sometimes if like they
That
have
is just silly.
It would be cool if they kind of reset the upgrade so that you had more reason to do more guild missions. But there aren't many new guild missions, so people probably would get kind of burnt out.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard enough to get a whole group to like upgrade you know what I mean? I do like the idea that like, yeah, you would still get to take a journey, or that there could be some kind of bonus that they could offer, you know, that if you did like go through and capture all of these regions, or I mean, I could maybe even see that if you were able to have multiple guild halls at once, and you could like select one that was your default teleport or something, so then you could like acquire all of them and people could choose. And I mean, that would probably be again like a massive burden on systems and stuff, but like that way too it would feel like, oh hey, like maybe if you got all of them fully upgraded and you were like, you know, starting fresh with a new one, then you would get special rewards or achievements for having done that. And, you know, your guild would, in your own headcanon, have like this strong presence across all the different lands of, you know, the world.
That'd be fun.
It'd be cool. I would personally be like, oh no, if we like reclaimed a new one and then we, you know, had to completely start from scratch and you lost all the progress on the old one.
So Heart of Thorns came with 2 guild halls.
Yeah.
If you had to scrap one and only keep one guild hall from Heart of Thorns, which one would you keep?
Wait, why? Why are we doing that? We don't have to.
It's just a question.
Oh my god.
Because every other expansion only came with 1.
I
But
think
Heart of Thorns came with 2.
they're both very different, right? One is like literally wide open, the mine, right? And then you've got where the mining is like the big feature, and then you've got the one which is more underground slash. And it's not underground, is it? It's more.
Lost Precipice is like the Gilded Hollow is the underground, the Exalted City.
Oh, right, yeah. That's
Lost
the one.
Precipice is like out in the open, arid cliffs.
I don't know, actually. I think I like the cliffs. Yeah, I think I like Gilded. No, I think I do. I do like the cliffs more.
Interesting.
It's less
I would
beautiful, that's for sure.
I would keep Gilded Hollow because I would like Lost Precipice to be a raid wing or some explorable zone, because it had such a cool arid feel that we never really saw in the Maguma jungle.
Wait, is there
And we
water
haven't
in
gone
that?
much further.
zone.
There
area.
is a little bit of water. I think there's water in
I
every
wonder if there's fishing
guild hall.
there.
Probably.
There
They
is.
did, yeah. They added in fishing to all the guild halls.
Nice.
So all the guild halls have some kind of fishing. I hadn't actually seen this area yet. I went all the way north up to the like far outer ring of the guild hall up here.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole exposed coral reef.
Yep.
Ooh.
And like
Yeah.
all this stuff. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah, I
This,
just showed
okay,
it.
this
Yeah,
is a
it's
question.
awesome.
This is a question for everybody. It's hard for me to say to like choose. Okay, with Heart of Thorns crew, I almost feel like the question would be more like people would want to maybe do away, from what I've heard at least, with like Path of Fire's halls, because it does seem like the Heart of Thorns halls are so loved. I really like the Path of Fire halls. I think they're beautiful. Like I said, so like my personal guild has Windswept Haven. And I think a lot of people don't particularly care for that one, but I love it. I don't know if it's because they felt like the upgrades just didn't maybe have quite as much of a visual impact in a sense, or if it's just that it feels as though there's like a lot to try and populate. I'm not sure, but
There's a
all
lot
of
of
that-
open space. If it and the sand is, I guess, desert is a difficult thing to.
all of that
Yeah.
to say, I kind of wish some of these zones were like also map zones. I don't know if anyone else feel this, because like as I'm going around, I mean, this whole location is so stunning, and it feels like there's so much work that went into this. Like you can tell, and the love and care and attention to detail, and I just love being here. Like, I kind of wish that there was almost a map instance of these, and then if you did capture it as a guild, you know, that visual upgrade would affect things and you'd get to like progress the story. But it kind of feels like a shame to have all of this locked behind, you know, just a guild hall where you could maybe even have like additional quests and other things that you could do on it if there was a map zone version and then a version that you could capture as a guild. I don't know. It seems like we always come back to this question with Guild Wars 2 guild halls. Like, do we, I hate to say it, like,
Is
do
it
we think they are
necessary?
worth, yeah. Like,
That's not a bad question at all. That's a very logical, and it is like a. I still feel like guild halls were a thing where they were like, we've got guilds. We're called Guild Wars 2. We kind of need to put some guild stuff in, peeps. Like, I really feel like it was. Yeah, it is. The thing is, the system. Like, if you think about the system of like going up to someone. Sorry, let me just go up to someone who's actually.
By the way, I
Let me
went
show
to
him
an
the
upgraded version of it, and the gate to the Torii is not. It's still floating, sunken underneath.
I kind
Aw,
of like
damn.
that though. It's a ruin, right?
Yeah.
But also, yeah. So like this whole system is awesome. Like, this isn't something I see. I don't know if anyone played World of Warcraft. I'm not what their system was. I can't remember what their system was called.
Strongholds.
Strongholds. That's right. They got rid of that, right? I'm pretty sure.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, people didn't like
That was ass.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But like, I'm not sure if that was as. I don't think it was fleshed out like this one. But there's loads of stuff where you have to really think about upgrading it. You can really visualize and see that. I don't know. There's like, I like the idea of the system. So it's not like they didn't think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's systems in there, and there's loads of thought put into it. It's just like you say, Rook. Like,
I think there
why?
was a time.
Like,
I think
I don't know.
there might have been a time where it was more necessary, and especially with the novelty of Heart of Thorns and them first coming out, it was extremely exciting. But they haven't, or the guild hall system hasn't been expanded upon in any meaningful way to really come back to it. So in a way, it's almost like, you know, dungeons were a thing, and then it got kind of outdated, and they moved on to the next thing. With guild halls, it's been outdated for a while, but they haven't moved on to that next beat, which many people might say would be like personal player housing and apartments, something a bit more manageable and centered around your character. So I wouldn't mind not seeing another guild hall. I didn't really expect, well, I didn't know what to expect for this expansion, but I've never been a huge like fan of guild halls. I'm not like stumbling over myself to get to the guild hall phase of the expansion. Nor would I really be for player housing because I'm just not that type of player. But particularly for guild halls, I know that there haven't been more expansions on it.
If you had player housing that was good, you would like it, Chris.
Probably, maybe.
I do actually agree with Jeb. I was literally just thinking this because I think the problem is that like guild halls are a phenomenal feature, and I actually think they could be a massive selling point of this game. But the problem is that like we don't have the rest of the context of housing content.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about like other games and how they compose housing content, right? People tend to like you're tripping over housing items and furnishing items or things that you can craft or you can make or you can acquire as rewards from various things. You're like, you complete this fight and there's this chance of this housing item that can drop. You have all these recipes, you can craft them, you can make them, you can, put them together. Special events, they release new furnishing items. I know like Final Fantasy 14 does like fan furnishing design contests where then like they implement in the game various like fan-made furnishing items. So that like again like gets people excited. But the thing is that Guild Wars 2 has a phenomenally creative community. I think that right now the rest of the context of the foundations of like a truly like a housing community coming up has not really happened because of a lot of the things we were just talking about, right? That like guild halls can be difficult to get for one player. They're like a massive zone. So like, again, unless you have a guild, make a guild, have the money, invest in it, do all that kind of stuff. Then you have to level up scribe and then you have to like, decorate it. And with decorating, like the system itself is fantastic for that. People do all kinds of creative things and like jump puzzles and all sorts of things. But again, it's like you have to have scribe, then you have to like have these little niche items, and then you have to be able to have enough stuff to make those. It's like if they were in the next expansion, like even if, and I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks about this, but like even if they were to release no other features, but like obviously new classes and stuff like that, but I mean like siege turtle fishing kind of features. Like, if they were to release nothing else, but what they did release was like a fully realized, fleshed out housing system where you could have like a small apartment up to your own house, up to a huge place like this where you could collaboratively create all this stuff. And they like went in and upgraded and updated all of the furnishing stuff, and they added in a slew of other furnishing items that could be obtained in places and then continue to do it moving forward. Do you think that would be a worthwhile feature?
Yes, 100%. Do it.
Absolutely.
Please. Like you're dead on. Like the ESO community for housing is massive. There are just streamers that do that. They do housing and they get shed loads of views. People love that stuff. People love this is. There's many genres of games, like strategy games where you build. Like building is huge. It's massively like it's just relaxing and it's calming for many people as well. The thing is, I think about Guild Wars 2 is you can most of the stuff you do, just gonna sound weird, is fighting things. To be in an MMORPG, I think and I'm not saying that Guild Wars 2 isn't truly amazing. I think a truly well-rounded, experience for an MMO in 2022 is the MMO which can make you feel like you are living in a world where you can do pretty much not whatever you want, but you can do a variety of things, including kill stuff, craft stuff, create stuff in some kind of way, whether or not it's like housing or whatever, raids and all the things. But like, I think Final Fantasy 14 is honestly, and I think maybe Lost Ark, from what I've heard and played so far, are probably the two MMOs which probably have got it. I mean, I haven't played up to the end of Final Fantasy 14, but the amount of stuff where I'm just like, I go through the game and there's just, the gold saucer place or whatever it's called, and, the housing, and then you've got like, the really fleshed out, amazing like screenshots that you can get with that system as well, which is stupid. That system is stupid. Like it's stupidly good. The amount of stuff you can do, and then I go to Guild Wars 2 and I think, you know what? There's systems missing here that would just catapult it up to that level. And when I'm talking about it, I'm like comparing the budget and the scope that Guild Wars 2 has compared to Final Fantasy 14, which is Square. And it's like, they've got different scopes. There's, they've got different amount of people working for them. They've got different budgets and everything else. So it's about what they prioritize. But I feel like that would be worth it. Like the investment of, we know that they've made a lot more from this expansion. We know that the numbers are up. We know that good things are happening. The communication's up. I think, Rook, yes. I'm personally, I'm in it. Like, even if it's not something I will do every day and all the time, you will see new people come and play this game based on that, I think.
And I think we have seen them take steps towards that. Like, fishing is a great piece of content that falls into that category, right? And I even think guild halls, like I was saying, I think there are groups, because one of the biggest complaints I oftentimes hear about ESO's housing is that, like, people love the housing, but they do feel like, as far as a guild hall system goes, that it's not as robust. It's right. Like, it's literally that, like, if you have a guild in ESO, you can just like denote a house that people can just go to. But it's not actually a guild hall that has the features that like Guild Wars 2 does. So it's almost like the opposite problem in that, like, ESO supported out their housing scene on like a player-to-player basis, but hasn't made the leap to like guild basis. Whereas Guild Wars 2 started out with guild basis, but hasn't made the leap to one-on-one. And I think people would like get these islands and upgrade them and turn them into unbelievable RP hubs and all kinds of stuff, and like like they just totally would, like, but we need the other systems to be that player, like player by player individual basis for housing, I think, to really make that leap.
Yes. I think there are 3 big selling points for an expansion for me at this point. I love the mastery system, and I love when it does surprise me with the Jade bots. I found those to be really exciting. But for me at this point, I would say player housing is probably an objectively good idea. The other 2 would be, of course, a set of elite specs, or if they don't do elite specs, just add a new class. And the final one I would recommend for a selling point is just a new race. I think many people have wanted like the Tengu, Largos, Dwarf. I think those are 3 big selling points that many MMO players are looking for. New classes, new ways to play, race, and housing.
Griff, I love you. I really do. But I knew you were gonna go there. When you started talking, I was like, "You're going for Tengu." I know that you're sad about this.
I included the dwarves.
You did. Actually.
You were not lost on me.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I think it's weird because out of anything that we've seen MMORPGs doing in the last probably like 2 or 3 years, is a move away from races, adding races to MMORPGs. So it's I'm other than Final Fantasy 14, which seems to be an outlier for some reason, and like loads of things.
No, we've got. Well,
they did add the race,
the male Vieira.
There's a whole other conversation that could be had about that.
Oh,
though.
Okay. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's they have consistently added new races, but they themselves ran into the problems that I think keep many companies from making new races. And the big thing lately has been the fact that they released what they claimed were going to be the last races ever for the game. So these 2 races, Vieira and Hrothgar, but then they released them with only 1 gender. And then they released them in a state in which they can't wear headpieces in the game. So like you can't visually see headpieces, and they didn't have access to like 90% of the hairstyles, including cash hairstyles that people had paid money for. And it's 3 years later, and our current big debacle with that is that they just announced a few more hairstyles that are old hairstyles that have been ported to one of the new races, Hrothgar, for this upcoming patch in 14, but in which they literally like just chopped the Hrothgar's cat ears off. And like the hair, it looks horrible. So there is something, it's interesting because 14 has, I think, yes, Jeb, like you said, made an effort to do that, but they have had some pretty massive stumbles with it recently in a way that has really left the player base unhappy, many of the player base unhappy, which again isn't to say that 14 isn't in its own way a fantastic game and that they aren't trying to do these things, which are good. It's just that like, I think I agree. Like, Jeb, it seems as though companies have said, like, adding new races is something that's really difficult, and we have seen a move away from it. And yet the demand from player bases is real. And Kroof, like you said, it is an actual thing that people genuinely want to see. Either that or like massive updates and, additions to character customization, like one or the other, because that individual way that we connect and embody ourselves in game is one of the major foundational things of an MMO.
So true. Ooh, that's horrible. If I'd paid for hair, like, I mean for me, like, if I paid for hair, like, and I didn't have the accent, all right, Proof, don't laugh too hard.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
my
bad.
hair. Oh my God. But yeah, no, that's pretty terrible, actually. I mean, and especially when Final Fantasy is at that place where it's like, it's a AAA MMORPG on like a AAA company, like, I mean, I kind of want to go and Google that and just find out, put it on the screen.
I mean, look, we could do a whole podcast just about like races and adding races to MMOs, because each game does approach it differently. Like World of Warcraft style, I think, where they decided at a certain point that they were going to release what we would almost consider to be like limited feature races, where like you get less options, but they are more diverse. Like that was a choice. And I think 14 tried to sort of do that based off of WoW's precedent and implemented it in like a truly awful way that, like you said, coming from a AAA game, it's like, what? Like, these are the last races you're ever going to release in this game, and they're in this like terrible, like poorly designed, half realized state. And it obviously hasn't been a good solution, and like I understand Guild Wars 2's problem, especially given the context of like the variation of the core game and everything else. I mean, WoW also dealt with that in the sense that like they had some races and classes and things where you played like a separate optional storyline, and then you kind of come in at a point, right? That in and of itself also has its own trade-offs. But like, I agree that there are these kind of features that I think a lot of us would like to see. And it does feel like I love these guild halls and I love this, but like, oh yes, housing would be a huge feature around this that I think would give just more longevity to everything else. And races would be something else that, I mean, we just have to see how they would want to handle, but I would not want to see it handled like 14 has, unfortunately,
So here's the thing about races in Guild Wars 2, a new race, I mean. And it is basically what you're saying there, Rook. It's that if they're going to release a new race in Guild Wars 2, it's going to have to be a very conscious decision in that if it's going to be in an expansion, it's probably going to have to, at least half the expansion is going to have to, the storyline is going to have to concentrate on bringing this race into fruition, like making a storyline for why they're here, introducing your character to the world and all that, right? So like you can't just say, hey, you have a new race now. You could just create it in the character menu, and then it doesn't have a storyline tied to it, so just have fun, just do the expansion stuff. Anybody else could do that too with any other race. So no, they'll have a storyline attached to it, which means that they have to, if they're, let's say we're going to have a new race and a new expansion, most of the storyline is going to be dedicated to introducing this new race. And that means that it's going to... They might.
I don't know if they
might.
That.
I don't think it has to be dedicated. I just think you need a starter zone.
Yeah, like most MMOs.
Well, there's four maps in this expansion. That's at least already a quarter of the resources, right?
I mean, they could do.
Well, there were 5 in Path of Fire.
Yeah, if they really wanted to tie it in as much as possible to the core story, right? They could do something where you just start out as like a member automatically of one of the 3 factions and just like reuse all those maps and like have you just do some kind of quest there, and then like like just go into the like second half of the personal story where things, like narrow down into that order. Like there would be parts of that would be a little clunky, but I could see them doing it without having to like completely make all new maps, all new zones, all new. I think they could do that too, though. I mean, I honestly think that they could make like a living season map or something and then have your like new races stories start there and, have it be like a character that starts from there on, you could do that too, and then also have like quests on that map that would just be normal content for players that those characters would like transition into. But I agree with that it's clunky. It's not, yeah.
I don't think you even have to go back that far to the personal story, considering we are. I mean, Tengu, I think, is a prime example. So we'll use the Tengu, for example. So in the case of the storyline, because I said so.
Good enough excuse.
So for the Tengu, in terms of their storyline, the Tengu of Kantha are now starting to travel up north into the Dominion of Winds. We heard this from Arborstone stuff. Not super mega spoilery stuff. It's just like the local Tengu, now that everything's open, they're thinking about migrating north. So in terms of implementing a playable race, you could pick that storyline up from there and have that kind of, you know, getting your feet wet with like going outside the Dominion of Winds, learning about the different cultures, and having that distrust of like, should we open up, should we not? At the final moment of that, you know, starter map, you're like, okay, let's go out in the open world. And then from there, each map is a time capsule. So you don't necessarily have to explain it. It's kind of something that you'll have to just swallow. I mean, when we go back to older maps, and we've already killed Balthazar, it depends on the storylines. I think now that we're done with that commander, not that we're done with the commander, but they have an opportunity to move away from that title if they want to. From here on out, they could just be adventurer if we do drop Dragon's Watch and venture off into other areas. So
will the Tengu have any connection to Arim?
No, they don't need it. Depending on what they do with the story.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe for future story, I could see that still playing a role, you know? I think you're right, though, Kroof, in that they have an opportunity now where if they wanted to create some kind of independent identity, I mean, we have a fresh story arc, right? So, like,
now's the time to do it if they want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, space is now an option.
But the question is, will, like, let's say, you know, I don't know what the numbers would be, but how large a percentage of the player base do you think would want to play a new race, start a new character, or just remain with their current characters? And so if that's the case, are they going to develop an entire storyline that can only be played by the new race if a lot of people won't really interact with it or want to interact
Remember,
with it?
the most effective way to put a race into an MMORPG is the standard way of doing it. Short intro, their only little bit of story. Pandaria was actually a really, really good way for World of Warcraft to introduce a new race, like having the more Tibetan monk kind of style of, like, you know, these temples, and then it was almost it was also like a little mini tutorial, right? That was a really solid way of doing it, and actually like picking the sides, like which side you go on.
It is a little bit different though, right? Because in World of Warcraft, for example, your character, I mean, I might be wrong, I haven't played in a long time, and I didn't really pay that much attention to the story when I was playing it. But if I remember correctly, in World of Warcraft, your character is sort of like a small player in the story. You're just sort of like, you know,
you're like a champion essentially. Like,
you're a really cool guy.
Yeah,
you're a cool guy, but you're not a
good.
leader. You're just like a, you know, an underling almost.
I actually prefer that.
I prefer what I'm saying is that in Guild Wars 2, we are in a unique situation where the story has you as the be all end all of everything.
You are the leader, yeah. I guess.
Yeah. So since that's the case, it's difficult, I think, to organically introduce a new race that would have the same identity as the rest of the characters.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely don't think it would be easy, but
it's doable.
I do think, and I do think that people would play it. I mean, like, the question of, you know, would people even want to switch off of characters? I mean, you don't even have to, is the thing. I think in Guild Wars 2, I know more players that have more alt characters than in almost any other MMO I play. And a lot of that is because, like, one, all of the variation of the core story, the different races are so novel. There's a lot of things that, like, look really different on different characters. Not having all classes be unlockable on one character is another thing. And yet they have elite specialization, so there's still customization and stuff that you can do in those. plus just the alt friendliness of the game, the sheer amount of account wide things, the looks, the fashion, the dyes, the collections, the masteries, like people would absolutely make a slew of a new race in this game. Like 110%. I'm not concerned about that, but how they implement it, I agree, would be the most challenging aspect, which I'm sure they've grappled with, right?
And I think there's an easy way to get around the commander issue. With whatever race it is, maybe you are a commander of a small platoon, like going out. And so just colloquially, even within your own race, you're referred to as commander. So when you leave, people are like, what's your name? What's your title? You're like, commander. And so then everyone just knows you by commander.
But if you're a new player as well, I mean, I think that point is the point of the being a commander stuff is a bit mute, because you can just start the game and just start the story and from the beginning and just go along.
I wonder if they'd have to write it like, so let's say we do get Tengu, and then from now on you have to write it so that, because you know how in EOD storyline, if you're a Char versus a Norn sitting in that boat, the fisherman's going to say something different, right? So let's say you're a Tengu, and instead of commander, all the NPCs, Timey, etc., all refer to you as new guy or something.
You're talking about if you're a Tengu from Camphor, as opposed like from this region specifically, that's lived here specifically. You mean just like if you are? Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know. I assume that if you do have a Tengu playable race, they're gonna start them off in the Dominion of Winds.
I would assume
they probably should do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would also tie in the kind of like strange little jaunt that we took for, was it one of the Dragon Response missions where they introduced those like yes. And I was sitting there going, it seems really unusual to introduce these distinctive characters and have this thing and then not use that as a plot device down the road. So like, I feel like that could be something very easily that they might even be planning just as a story beat for our continuing living season content and additional stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to End of Dragons and I was like, where's Caladris? I was like halfway through and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that Tengu. I guess she didn't come with us.
She's just chilling. They'll come back. They'll come back later. It's fine.
Do the Dominion of Winds Tengu ever go back to Cantha?
Not at the moment, but the Canthan Tengu are going to the Dominion of Winds.
Oh.
So maybe when they open the door, we sneak in.
Yeah.
And then we meet up with Caladris and she's like, I'm ready to go to Cantha.
I mean, maybe.
We're like, we just came from there.
I mean, maybe that's where maybe that's where the original Tengu starting zone was.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe it was a thing and we just never. I wonder if that's like, because that's I mean that's still a big massive thing. Where is it? We're talking about where is it on the map? I don't remember.
It's by Caledon Forest to the right, left of Lion's Arch.
Right.
Oh, Dominion of Winds, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like a ton of potential there, and I mean, I think this is it is like we've been saying, like there are some certain features, and I think we honestly got really great features this expansion. Kruv, you mentioned that JPA ended up kind of surpassing expectations, and like I felt the same way. I was like, wow, this is, the more I use it, the more I've upgraded it, the more I saw of it. Like I was into it from the start, but like I found it to be really well implemented. Fishing as well, like provides us so many opportunities, just like we were brainstorming last episode, you know? So I do think guild halls, like today, it was so fun to get together and capture this. And I think the work on this guild hall is absolutely stunning. And I do think guild hall content has the potential and is really fun in many ways. But like we kind of pointed out, like ongoing content for it, additional stuff surrounding it, a more robust housing system that would even, you know, get people more engaged and excited with doing something like this, maybe adjustments to some of the flexibility of that new scaling system they were putting in. There are these little things with it where like, I mean, yes, it's just like the potential is here. I'm looking at it and I'm still just wandering the map and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's more beautiful than the last place I saw. This place is even cooler. I love this guild hall. It's so cool. But it is tough because like, yeah, with expansion 4 on the horizon, there have to be new selling features. And I do think that this is one that like ties into that bigger context of other things or like races or, you know, this discussion that we're having. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting here. We've kind of, you know, we've got a skew to having a discussion about race, but I think they are all interconnected with new features and what we might need or want in the game moving forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust the title on this one. Maybe we need to have a specific podcast as well. Yeah, this is definitely a place that, yeah, hopefully we get to have a look at soon.
I just wonder where they go from here with the guild halls, especially with strike missions.
Yeah.
I think there are ways to easily, through UI, just incentivize guilds to group up more often. Because while we're always talking about new features, sometimes I feel like we can get wrapped up in the new feature talk so much that we forget about the features that we already have. And what ways can we utilize what we already have instead of always chasing that carrot on the stick. But we haven't had a carrot on this stick for a long time, so we're kind of left chasing another carrot.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, I still think the guild system, I mean, we've got, have a look at the missions, for example, and I said we'd talk about this. Maybe we don't necessarily need to go do it, but like, unless someone randomly wanted to, I don't think guild missions are planned for this week. But there is some really good like missions in the guild. In like, this is the thing, and they could pertain more to the guild hall, right? This is linked to guild halls, right? I mean, this is okay. Hell, I don't care anymore. I'm running the record streaming button thing. That's all good. But like I kind of like that they've got PvP and World v World in there, and they've got PvE, but they've actually added. So this is the first place I would say that adventures kind of were started in Guild Wars 2. Like it's very adventure-esque context.
This is your moment. Adventures.
Adventures.
I'm taking screenshots.
Didn't they get rid of adventures though, to be fair, like with End of Dragons? Like I feel like adventures got deleted.
I didn't see that many in End of Dragons, no.
I don't think there's any.
I don't think there's any.
Why? Oh, but that's
I feel
another
the
shit.
adventures are more so just dynamic events, like the fishing tournaments. That feels very adventure-esque.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they are. Like
we need turtle races though.
That'd be fun. It doesn't feel like we're missing the content. You know what I mean? Because like you said, Kroof, there are other ways they rolled it in. But yeah, it does seem like the technology on some of those could be fun, even for editions with Guildhall stuff, or
Yeah. I mean, I don't actually know the last time they update. I think the last time they updated stuff guild-wise was actually skins, like other than the guild hall, like skins for armor, like years ago with Half-Horns. Actually, no, maybe they came with the guild halls, actually. I know, maybe it did.
You know what I would love?
What would you
a
love?
Gen 2 legendary armor where you had to do guild stuff. Because Gen 1 you have to do competitive PvP, World vs. World, or raids.
Yeah.
I would love a Gen 2 where you have to do like guild hall stuff and you collect like Aureen's crystals and then you have like an Aureen armor set.
I mean, yes, you all know that would immediately
I was looking at your face, yes.
At least me as a player. No, I think that would be perfect, honestly. Like, this is something that, again, I think they need to keep developing. But having something like that would be, I think, nice. Just, yeah, additional new stuff to continue to work on, even if it does make use of older, like, ideas or concepts in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I was looking for conversations about guilds and like missions and stuff like that, and all of it seems kind of salty and also outdated, like old as well. Like it's just, I kind of get a little bit sad looking at this because when last week when we had two of our guildies, awesome guildies, like basically arranged like a guild missions kind of event, and we went to it. There was about 8 or 9 of us. It was cool. We got into Discord, talked to some people I've not actually been able to talk to before because I don't know everyone in that way. And then I was like, damn, this is like just a very chill, like it's not raid, it's not a strike, it's not World v World, it's not like a really competitive thing. Sure, we've got a little bit of a time limit, a little bit of a stressor. It's not really that stressful. I was just like, damn, there's gonna be so many cool missions, like just with End of Dragons, like catch this many fish in this amount of time. Mission. Like, you know, just ship it. Let's go.
Yeah,
like, you know,
enough.
that could be an easy mission.
Aren't there jumping puzzle missions? Or like certain...
There are like, so on the one I've got right now, there's like treks, puzzles, And the jumping is in with the puzzles a lot.
I think
of the
there
time.
are a couple new jumping puzzles in End of Dragons, and I assume there are some for Path of Fire. So I think it's mostly just capitalizing on what is already there and giving more of a reason to do it than just like the first time go around, oh, I experienced this.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah, I mean that's an issue with fishing. I think probably in the future. So maybe if you tie it to guild activities, that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
I do wish there was more.
Also, I want like more decorations.
Yes.
To kind of talk about the guild hall and or like personal housing. I think the arena in terms of the PvP is a fun idea. I don't really see that many people utilize it because it does have very different balancing from PvP modes.
Yeah,
I would love to see the ability to create golems and target dummies with different effects, like allies and enemies with like break bars that apply conditions that have boons on them, and set up almost like a training area that you and your guild can go in that will actually like show off your DPS, or have these systems to where you can practice rotations in a cooperative area with your guild. Maybe if you're training for
I still
strikes
don't know why
or
they
raids.
didn't have that test dummy, though they've not got that in here.
Yeah, because we've
That
seen
would
test
honestly
dummies
be
be
nice.
spawned. So I would like to see the arena maybe repurposed to like a combat training area.
And I feel like
Perhaps.
that would also make that more accessible for players, because there are so many people who don't know that the training column even exists, and who don't realize that like to access it now with the raids, right? Like if you go to that raiding arena, I believe you have to squad up. Like, so even if it's
Yeah.
just you,
Yeah, you
but like
do.
you have to be in a squad to be able to access it. Whereas like having something, like in a guild hall where people like right there as they explore the guild hall could see it, or like, you and your guildies, you could just hang out there. I mean, I mentioned, I think one of the last times we were talking about this as well, like making the guild halls more of like even almost convenience HUDs where, if you had all done, I don't know, X number of strikes from Eye of the North or whatever, you could then get like a portal in your guild hall that would instance you into all the strikes from like the Icebeard Saga, like how we have the portal in Arborstone, or how we have the portal in, like, so that you could really make your guild hall more of a hub.
Well, that's what
where, like,
Arborstone should have been.
Everything.
Like, I mean,
But yeah,
like, shouldn't it have been that? But like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, how do you feel about basically transporting everything that's in Arborstone to a guild hall? Do you think that would cause any issues with like gathering in the world, or do you think it would just be fine?
I mean,
Two extremes there. There's no in between.
It's tough, right? Like, I think that it's important to have accessibility for those options for all players, even if you're not in a guild. But I think there are real perks to like making something like a guild hall really have a reason that you would go there, right? Like, think about how many people go to like the sanctuaries when they get like the pass keys or those things, or like, because they're such convenience hubs, right?
Yeah.
So if guild halls really had that same level of convenience HUD, and there are some really cool conveniences. Like, honestly, when I was first going through leveling up guild halls, going through all the content, all that kind of stuff, I was blown away by what's in a guild hall, because compared to many other MMOs that I play, they don't have those options. Like, you're lucky if you get anything that actually does pertain to helping and that matters if you like upgrade it, like 14 has great housing in like a fun sense, a decorative sense, but like really the only things that you get from like an FC house are like you can put down some crafting gathering boost thing, kind of like, but there's no other real function, right? There's not like upgradable mines, there's not upgradable buffs from the tavern or stuff like that, right? So
that's true.
To me, like the mix of things that you would need would be like convenience. Having stuff like a training dummy would be great too, like Kroof is saying, because I think as well that would let people just like go in, access it, not have to deal with squads. You could all group there even before your raid night with your guild, and you could do whatever, or you could go there real quick to practice stuff. If they did portals, I think that would help too. If they upgraded some of the guild missions, we've talked in the past about like dynamic events popping up on the maps, which I also think would be fun, or like some kind of weekly thing that you could do to like defend your hall. I mean, I think that would be great. More furnishing items, yes, and more that are like easily purchasable, accessible, and visible in the game, so that it's not just like relegated to scribe. Like, I think they just need to like expand that a bit more, because I mean, I think that would also get people engaged, and or like fun little things, right? We talked about in Warframe they have dojos, and in dojos there's like all sorts of different things you can do. You can do essentially like a jump puzzle course, and it'll show like the rankings of everybody, or you know, like
Oh,
stuff
really?
like that. Where
That's
you have,
awesome.
yeah, like so you can see
That's
like
very
how
cool.
fast each person has completed it or things like that. And you could add little bonuses or achievements. You could have little mini games like that. I like the guild missions and stuff, but like everybody's pointed out, they haven't been updated. So it's like, again, it's like there are a lot of really good, promising features. They are really fun and unique, but like they just, it doesn't seem, you know what I mean? It's not like fully rounded in a sense. So it could be a little more, or you know, we could even see this extend into personal housing and still have some of those. Like,
is it like that kind of thing where, and I guess it's the same, you think about DRMs and stuff as well, where they kind of touch on something, and the moment it maybe doesn't seem to be working out, it feels like there is something abandoned to a degree.
I don't think DRMs were ever planned to be a consistent feature of content.
No.
Yeah, but like,
at least I hope not.
I mean, we don't actually know, I suppose. But like, you know, I feel like you're right, but just maybe a bad example. But like other stuff which maybe hasn't worked out, you know, dungeons in the past. etc. But like, and with guild missions, I just wonder, like, what I do wonder. I'd love to get someone on about this and talk to them, like what the decision was to not flesh that system out more, and especially when you are creating, it's just I think it's just, I'm sorry about it. Like, it's called Guild Wars. I know necessarily it's not about the systems of guilds, but like the guilds within the game and like belonging and all the things that guilds insinuate.
We found some plants that have collision on them.
No, wait, is that in the north? That's the end of the map.
No. Like two distinct plants that just have collision on them.
Is it the coral?
And you can like stand on top of them.
Oh, nice.
This is funny.
Is the Jade Brotherhood a guild?
they're a criminal organization.
That can be a bad guild.
Can that be thought of as a guild?
I mean, sure, like it's a group of like-minded individuals
Yeah,
working
the
towards
speakers.
something they
So maybe our storyline coming up, season 6, is gonna be bringing the Guild Wars back to Guild Wars with the speakers and the Jade Brotherhood.
What? That wouldn't be awful. I mean, would it? I mean, it wouldn't be that terrible at all, because you're kind of in. That's a nice tree. It can't. Yeah, I would actually love that. I'd actually love a story centralized around a guild, like that gets formed out of like. Yeah, I would flipping love that. Like, which introduces proper systems and like. I don't know. What would you even do? I don't even know. That sounds interesting to me.
I mean, I think the hesitancy with a lot of fleshing out all these systems, right, is that there is a lot of discussion about like how many people do that content, and like, and you know, is this really essentially what will be really useful to a large portion of our players? Now, that's not to say that content that's only enjoyed by like a smaller niche population like shouldn't be created for the game, but it does feel like in many MMOs we've seen this almost shift away from like large group endeavor specific things into more like creating accessibility across the board for single player to co-op play styles. So like in that sense, I understand why they haven't made guilds specifically the entire backbone of everything, because I really do think the landscape of MMOs is shifting, and that the idea of them being accessible to players, and like, I'll be completely honest, I literally was running around doing some Return 2 stuff today, and I was like on a map that was super annoying to solo, and I was over here like, oh my god, please. Like, I was just like, this is, please, I just need to do the events and I can't complete a single one.
What map were you on?
Oh, I was on, is it the Lake Doric one that has all the stone and the like, and I was, I mean, it's a fun one, and honestly, it ended up being that like eventually I was like, Rook, you need to practice what you preach, and you need to shout out in this zone, and you need to see who's around. So I did, and then we got a group together, and then we were running stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But not everybody is always going to make that jump, right? Some people are going to, at that point, just turn off the game because they aren't comfortable with it, or they're playing at an hour where other people aren't around, or they did shout out in the chat and nobody offered to help, or like, so I know why they haven't maybe made guild content specifically the exclusive end all be all. But again, I think this is something where if they were to bulk out aspects of the game in empowering the single player components of this, and then just use that same work with like the housing and other things and mini games or whatever, and then like build off of that with guilds, I think we would see a resurgence with guilds and guild halls and groups. And I think alliances for World versus World are also going to be a big part of that. So like,
that's the thing.
I think there are tools in here where they can like split that time, but it does feel a little bit too weighted toward like I would have almost rather not have gotten this guild hall. It's so beautiful and I love it, but I almost would have rather have had them just take all of that energy and work on, so I don't know, another map in the region or something else until we have other supporting structures.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's almost like I guess, especially when you build this expectation of what a package is of what a product is, like a Guild Wars 2 expansion is. We know that they deliver certain things. We know elite specializations, new storyline, new region, and the very bare minimum. But Guild Hall is in there as well now. But I honestly agree that I don't think people would be sad if they didn't put one in. I think they'd have to put something else in. But like, putting those people, I know it's not the same team at all, it's systems teams, but like, I don't know. It does seem odd. It is beautiful. Like, not to discredit, we're not discrediting the work that they've done at all. None of us are. I don't think that's ever been a question. But like, it looks beautiful. It looks wonderful. It was a great little experience. But again, how often am I going to come back here? If I'm really brutally honest, not much. I'll come and have a look. I think the addition of fishing makes it a really, really good place that you can revisit. That's very it's easy, it's local, there's no enemies, so you don't have to worry about your boat despawning or you being interrupted.
I was fishing. I got an ascended fish and a legendary fish, so you can get some good stuff here.
Yeah, you literally did. Yeah. That's very cool.
I mean, even if they put in like, I don't know, special achievements with guild fishing in your guild hall and stuff, like they can do all sorts of things. I mean, there's a lot. I love that if they continue to expand on this, I love that we have these, because again, I think that like they can make this a huge feature of the game. It's just about framing it with everything else that we might get, like in such a way that the demand would be there and the options and things would be expanded upon. I don't know.
What were the pillars of Guild Wars 2 when they announced them?
No roles. Anyone can do anything.
No, but I mean, most recently, I guess it was just the game modes they were talking about.
PvE.
Game modes,
yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think
I was like, how far back are we going?
Well, the thing is, interesting enough, from what Rook was saying, like that is a very true statement about the fact that MMORPGs, and it's got a lot to do with access, but it's also got a lot to do with people, as well as the last few years, as well as how we've like as a society. Well, I'm going to say Western civilization specifically.
We live in a society.
We're a little bit more I think like we've gone a little bit more inside because of various reasons, like a little bit more in our houses, but that means, or apartments. But we've been able to like expand online, I suppose, as well. But in a way, specifically in MMORPGs, you can do a lot more on your own, for sure. And I think Guild Wars 2 has definitely been, like, people have been upset that they can't do a lot of that stuff on their own, like Raid Story, for example, in the past. Another aspect, like we talked today, getting Guild Hall is a little bit difficult for smaller groups. It's been challenging for some peeps. So I don't know. There is very much that idea that and a lot of MMORPGs are going that way. But then alliances is like literally encouraging you to get into a guild, because you don't have to, because you can access stuff. You can get put into an alliance essentially when it comes out, if it comes out. Because I think that's still a questionable thing.
Betas hopefully soon.
Yeah, the last beta was great. So like, it's definitely. I mean, it'll definitely happen.
It will definitely happen. I think the when is. We haven't really had much info, and like I will remain a a little skeptical about alliances. I think there's something they've talked about the bug. Anyway, with alliance is in mind, there is a more of a push to encourage people into bigger groups, into larger
And to
communities.
guilds. I mean, you need
Exactly.
a guild to be in an alliance, correct?
Well, you don't have to. You get,
Yeah, you'll get
you
popped into
lucky.
one, but
I mean,
it won't
you,
be the
you
true
could literally
experience,
not
yeah.
engage in anything to do with alliances and still be in world versus world, yes.
Yeah.
But to be in an alliance, like truly feeling like you're in an alliance, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be in a guild.
I'm looking forward to like an alliance chat and stuff, which I think will hopefully be good. That would be cool. Just like so there was a really good feature in Warhammer Online actually, which I think is this is a good thing about Josh Davis being game director, because Josh has played some of these MMOs and I'm starting to see some of these ideas coming out, and I'm like, there's got to be an alliance chat, man, like an alliance guild, like where you're called, your alliance is called something specifically, obviously in World v World, but then you can have your own entity, like your own guild hall and all this other kind of stuff, which would be so
And
rad.
this is the bell I'm going to keep ringing.
Yeah,
With alliances coming out, we need a better in-game UI structure to deal with guilds and inviting people to guilds, advertising your guild, finding alliances, properly joining alliances,
finding a guild.
finding a guild. Yeah,
This
that's
is
it.
definitely the guild podcast now, isn't it? I think we did one in the past, but it's been a while. I mean, we could
even
talk about
even beyond alliances, we have challenge mode strike missions coming, and I think depending on the difficulty and the reward structure, maybe we will see some small or large guilds start to form up just to tackle challenge mode strike missions, and or bleed into raids. I think challenge mode will be an interesting indicator in terms of how much do you need to have a static group for these strike missions. So coming soon, in about less than 2 weeks, we will see the first challenge mode.
Yeah, I think MMOs, more so than being like, because this is a big debate that we hear, and Jeb, you were talking about this, right? Like, we have this shift where many MMOs are adding in single player features, and then it's like, oh, but we have alliances. So, with that kind of context, that sort of suggestion, like, is this a good or bad thing? I think that it's fantastic, because MMOs at their heart are collaborative games, right? Yeah. But it's about creating the pipeline of like how you get into the game, how you experience the game, and then like what there is for you to do in the game. Like, this is something that we've seen talked about a lot recently with 14 as well, where the director of the game, Yoshida-san, has been saying, like, I've started to realize that many players don't play an MMO because they think that MMOs aren't for them. And they don't realize that, like, now we have such great story, we have such incredible worlds to explore, that like there's so much to enjoy that previously might have been something that you could really only get from like a single player game, because MMOs maybe didn't have that focus on the type of content or world that you were looking for. They were a totally different style in and of themselves, right? So many players feel like they can't get into the games. But the thing is that if you can get people in and you can get them playing the game, there is a high chance that over the course of time, they are eventually going to go, oh, I'm kind of curious about this thing that I heard everybody talking about, like alliances, or like, I'm kind of curious about, like, maybe I'll try raiding, or like, maybe I'll try a strike mission, or like, there's this item that I do want and I just found out that it comes from that. Like, maybe I'll try it. And that's where we get like a new audience. Like, that's where we get beyond just MMO players, like new players that actually fall in love with MMOs. So it's about like creating that pipeline, enabling and like opening up opportunities for us to group guilds, those sorts of things. They are important. Social aspects of MMOs are some of my favorite parts of them. But it's also about like creating those stepping stones so that like people who are on their own single player journey feel empowered enough to like navigate and fall in love with the game and then get involved in different components of the game.
It's interesting how, like, especially like being older now and then witnessing the evolution of the gamer, I will say, or like, well, there's many different types of gamer, because like, it used to be very different, because there wasn't just the different vast amount of genres, that were available. It's a lot wider now, which is great. But like, experiencing even how the classical MMORPG player is, because on majority I would say like 15 years ago, or when the start of WoW and other older MMORPGs, like group content was definitely the focus. Like it will, like you wouldn't have the LFGs didn't exist, for example. Like you would have to go and get a group. You would have to advertise in the map chat. And funnily enough, New World suffers massively because of that, because it doesn't have an LFG for their dungeons. So getting in dungeons is really difficult. So it's hanging around outside, but like a lot of people complain about it, and I'm like, this is the way it used to be, man. Like, this is actually the way it used to be. Like, you're complaining about, but then I'm like, well, people, there's different expectations, and people aren't as patient, and people also want to just do the things. They've got limited time. And there's a lot of services out there that do the thing they want to do, and they'll just go and do that. So yeah, I mean, I think the whole landscape is just massively changed. But there is definitely, like, I am that person as well, Rick. I'm completely that person. I would rather play with people, but I do have my more introverted moments. I don't believe anyone is truly one way or the other. There's a big landscape of introversion to extroversion people, where we all fall in different ends of that scale, and then including the in between. But like, we have our moments where, we do want to play with other people because we're playing an MMORPG. I think there's the unconscious idea that we want to connect with other people and players in a world that is mysterious and fantastical. I think it's just the thing that people want to do, right? I always think that anyone that's playing an MMORPG there is some undercurrent of wanting to connect to people in one way, shape, or form. Even if you just see someone else existing in the world who isn't an NPC or who isn't essentially a computer generated character, and that has their own brain and their own thoughts and their own places they want to go. I think is very cool. But yeah, anyway, weird rant over or ramble. It's a butter, yeah, something like that.
I like the conversation though, because it is interesting when people tend to look back. You kind of appreciate and enjoy it because of the nostalgia, but it doesn't necessarily mean that was the best situation. And I sometimes
I don't think
feel
there
like
is the best situation. I think evolution.
In terms of how you maintain a player base and or have people play, I think there is a best in terms of convenience. And as technology increases, we as humans also become extremely fond of convenience. So as soon as LFG was introduced in a game mode, that was it. Everyone needed LFG because they're like, oh, this is so much faster and easier. And sometimes people tend to stick to the old ways of that's how you build community and that's how you have conversation. But people might forget that once you're put into an LFG group, you can freely talk to people as well. Use that as your mode and your method of communication, not just the reliance on finding the group.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's what
I always try to do. Okay, that's what I always try to do for like raids and strike missions is like once you form up, you always like post your Discord or you start to talk to people, and then some people stick around and stay in the Discord or they contact you later and you're like, oh hey, you want to come do raids? So I think there still are ways for communities to be built up. I mean, communities have been being built up for years now with the convenience of LFG. So I don't think it's entirely lost. It is different. But
I
don't
think it's lost at all. I just think it's different. Like you say, it's an evolution, which is kind of what I was pointing out. It's just like it's how do you, but then as a developer, how do you tap into that evolution? Because I think it's still changing. It's very difficult because it's like tech, right? And like gaming, it's changed so much in like 15. It's changed so much in 2 years, let alone 5 years or 10. Then they've got to develop those systems over time, and then by the time they've developed them, there's something else. There's a different way people are connecting, and we know that by just social media. If you think about that, like it's actually kind of ridiculous.
It's interesting because you can get people together, but then how do you like capitalize on that? And it really falls down to the difficulty of the encounter or the mechanics that you're doing, because maybe the more difficult or intricate you are faced with, that then promotes you to discuss more and to really work cooperatively. And sometimes games have an LFG system, but the encounters are fairly cakewalky, so you don't have a reason to really communicate, which is why I appreciate I think Guild Wars 2 could benefit from an actual LFG forming system. But, now with strike missions, the mechanics are fairly intricate. So you group up with randoms and you still have to talk every once in a while. So I think they're hitting a good point with this expansion.
I honestly think VoIP in MMOs is going to be a level we've already hit it in New World. New World is the first MMO. I think, is VoIP in Warframe?
What's VoIP in?
Voice
VoIP
comms.
is voice over.
Oh.
No, I don't think Warframe has. Well, I actually don't remember. If it does,
I don't remember either.
I don't think it does. But if it does, I definitely turned it off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be real. I agree, and that I think that is definitely something that we may just see. I don't know if a lot of games will necessarily want to develop all those features, considering that we do just have integrations and tools like Discord, and they are aware of that, right? Like they are aware that many of us use these tools, right? But like, dear God, I hope we don't ever get it in any of the games I love. Because
Could you imagine in PvP? Oh, that would be
Well,
fun.
the funny thing is that I actually was very much in that line of thinking. Like I was like, I don't want it, because I was in the mists in PvP and I was thinking, imagine if people were talking like this and someone came in. It would have to be an opt-in thing. I think if anyone ever did it in Guild Wars 2, you opt in rather than opt out, because that will definitely put you off the game in some of the places you can go to, because that's not good. But yeah, it's definitely a different kind of experience, New World anyway. But like, it was just interesting how it was like the option was there, and I was like, okay, I don't have to go to that extra step of inviting people to a Discord or anything. I can just talk to some new people in a pie, which is pretty cool. It's just a cool kind of option. I know we're going a
Definitely
little bit.
good things and downsides to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
PvP, it would be. I think you would have your good experiences mixed with your bad. I play Halo quite competitively, like in the evenings as a 15-20 minute break. Like I just smash out I love Halo. I've loved Halo since for years. I fucking love that game. But the competitive side is very awesome and very fun as well. But they've got VoIP. It's like any PvP game. And immediately, like the difference in communication, if one team's communicating through VoIP, like it's just like, yeah, we're winning, because we've just got that basic ease of like communication. So it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. I want better UI and launcher. Also think that streamers are, anyways, communities, light tower. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when representatives, I think, we all of us here represent different communities as well as the same communities, as well as, this community that we've kind of got around the podcast as well, which has started to grow, which is awesome. And in just the different games and areas that we play, and I don't know. Yeah, they're good people. You should go follow them on their Twitch channels and YouTube channels and follow all the stuff that they've been doing as well. Especially Crave, when I log into Instagram or something and their story is literally talking about their armpits. Definitely do. I did catch that one.
I'm very sad I missed this one.
That was this morning, wasn't it? Was that this morning?
Follow my Instagram. Yeah, I woke up and my armpits were already sweating. Yeah. I was like, this is not okay. This is not fine. This is
putting reels
an
out,
atrocity.
It was very good. But yeah, is there anything else we want to talk about the Guild Hall specifically? I don't mind talking about kind of more general stuff, but I don't think there was anything.
I think we covered most of it.
Yeah, there's nothing really more pressing there. Is there anything from Guild Wars 2 news-wise that was kind of coming?
Well, Connor's moving on. Indigo Book is the new narrative lead of the fourth expansion, or fourth expansion, yeah.
Cameron Rich has been promoted to lead systems and encounters, I think. Endgame content. Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I think I get most of my Guild Wars 2 news from Twitter these days.
Same, I do.
Me too.
That's where they communicate the most, yeah.
We did get the blog post that had insight into my Trin and the Aether Blades and some of the decisions with their narrative beats over the course of the expansion, and Anka as a villain. And I thought that was a really insightful read. It's funny because even hearing them talk about it in that post, you can hear them, talking about how they really wanted to try and optimize the time that they had and like narrative devices that they used to try and do that. So things like Mytrin's apartment and how much ground just that one area, if you investigated every single thing, like actually covered in her and her character arc and stuff like that. I'd love to see, hopefully in the next expansion, that they could even get like more time, or like, I mean, they're always trying to be conscious about not like burdening us with too much, like to slow down the action of the story. But I'd like to see them get more chances to do.
What about this? What if Ivan, the next storyline, season 6, starts with Ivan going, "We have to go back. We have to go back." And then he brings everybody into the Fractals of the Mist to find an old version of Mytrin and bring her back to life.
What?
Taking her out of the Fractals of the Mist.
That would be so weird.
Oh,
I loved her journey this expansion.
I don't think you can do that though.
If you're able to take steal weapons from older Aetherblade copies and use them in real life, why can't you take...
But maybe you can't take biological material, because then we could have just taken the Asura and the Fractal Master.
Where are the rules? And also, they got Aetherblade arrow ships out, right? And those are made of wood primarily, and wood is a biological material. So
steel.
I'm with Quints on this one. Yeah, absolutely. But no, we did have that too. So that's been a cool read.
Yeah,
Griff has become a Toya. That's what's happened.
Oh, okay, that's fair. They're cool. There is like again, that article is very long. I do need to read it. I just have not had time. Again, would absolutely adore if this content was condensed into a video. I do like watching articles, reading articles. I think sometimes it's nice to hear the voices and like see because there's a screenshot in there of some stuff which they didn't put in the game, and I'm like, damn, I would have loved to see a little bit of video on that. That would have been cool. I
would love a behind the scenes video.
I love many videos.
This one I wasn't too mad about because it was very particular about the Blades.
That's true.
But other things where it's like full behind the scenes concept art, how like the rigging of strike missions, how they actually outline the personal story, scrapped ideas. I would love behind the scenes stuff.
I guess like with over the last couple of years, it would be behind the scenes in people's homes though.
I mean, I think Overwatch kind of does that when they do whenever they do their news.
Even if they expanded their live streams, like this is a big thing, like we talked about Warframe a couple times today. Like they almost eventually developed like a team that just specifically, like their thing is that they seem to live stream Warframe, right? So like the streams and stuff that we get, like videos take much more production. Like you have to do way more. They're more of an investment. A blog post, literally somebody when they have some spare time writes it up, slaps some stuff on it. Not to say that the blog posts don't show a lot of thought and details, because they do, and I love them. Okay. But like the scale of production and the time that has to be blocked out for like official insightful videos is really different. But I think we've seen some games start to kind of bridge that gap by having a team that's almost more dedicated to more casual, still professional, still representing the company, but like live streaming. So like it wouldn't have to always be like a perfectly staged guild chat. It wouldn't have to always be, right? It could just be something where like, hey, we put together like our team that is specifically about live streaming, and that's what they do, put together this slideshow or these video clips, or we're going to talk about, or even just, gosh, like reading the blog post, like they could do that kind of stuff and like play or touch base or stuff like that too, in a format that I think would be more digestible. But it's just harder to do those. Yeah,
I'm on the Warframe Twitch right now, and they've got it with drops as well. So and they've got people on there. They've got like, it just like looks like little like talking sessions. I can't remember, round tables and stuff. And yeah, this is actually really, really good. I'm actually going to show this. I think it's good. Like they've got some community managers up there, like just playing the game. They don't have to be the best players in the world, but they've got like this vision, like this cool little UI. It's actually really, really good. And then like news at the bottom, and like, oh look at this. This is really good actually. I'm loving this.
They've really pushed progressively how they handle those sorts of things. Like, I think we've seen some of that with ESO as well. 14 has a community team that occasionally schedules like official community broadcasts, and they'll do funny little challenges or stuff like that. And then they also do like their official live streams with the, you know, game producer and stuff. But that's much more of like a sit down and now we walk you through all the things.
Official.
Like, you can definitely see that those entities become like personalities in their own right. Like, and that news just circulates, and then it like gets retweeted to everything, and then gets, you know, like it kind of goes around in that sense where some companies are bridging this gap, and Guild Wars 2 has been doing that. It's just that they
where is it now though? That's the thing, right? Like, that's actually very true. And that was, as you're talking about that, like, how do you think like they could have continued that?
Like, Guild Wars 2 could have continued
what
their live
they
stream
kind of their kind of schedule that they had before. Do you think they could have continued?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they do, honestly. Not just with like an expansion release coming up. Because they've done guild chats, they do stuff like that, right? We have the Extra Life event. It's not like they haven't, or like they, you know, I just think that it's maybe that they haven't fully expanded the team to the point where, like, again, you could almost free up a group that aren't your actual developers that are working on the thing, that aren't your actual, like, you could have that auxiliary. Like, Ruby is very much the face of a lot of the broadcasting, but I do think they could expand that and have like an actual team that, like, their main thing would be to essentially disseminate that information, keep eyes on the live channel, like build up more expectation for those things, have drops, that kind of stuff. Like, we've seen more games start to really do that, or have like dedicated teams that specifically take charge of like the official live streaming in a way that, again, isn't always like huge official announcements or things like that. More like staying in touch with the community and the player base, and, you know, those sorts of things. So, yeah.
And even they could do something where once a month or once every other month they do a live stream, and with their seeming desire to do more communication via blog posts is nice, and it is communication, but having a once a month monthly roundup, touch base, here are the things that are coming, here are some concept art pieces, let's talk to some developers and just, you know, talk about what's going on. That could be an interesting way of doing it. I remember like months of no guild chat, or months of no official live streams from Guild Wars 2, and the channels did feel a little bit like you could forget about it. And sometimes I do look at these other companies and I get the feeling that they are a little bit more on top of these situations where they do go live and discuss and or showcase community content or art. And we used to do this with Guild Wars 2. There were moments where community art was shown off in a live stream format, and I remember those very fondly. It just kind of fell off a little bit.
There's a lot of traffic there.
Probably. I have my headphones in.
Atmospheric air blowing and traffic sounds.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it is a way, because like we've talked about, right? There's a shift to more visual mediums that's happening. And most people that are going to be getting information about these blog posts will likely be hearing about it from some content creator that's recapping it, right?
Yep.
Like, there are many of us who do actually go and read them and stuff like that, right? There are many people who post them and all that kind of thing. But it is something, again, where it's like, yeah, I think we've seen a shift to the point where this kind of news is oftentimes most digested, like on a large scale, in like a video format or an auditory format or something like that, as opposed to just like sheer walls of text. People will read like 2 lines and then like tune everything out, you know?
Yeah, they'll piece out. They'll try and find the specific stuff. You're right.
I mean, a good way to digest college textbooks is to read the first sentence and the last sentence. Is the opener and the conclusion of it, and you can essentially get all the information that you need if you really gotta shorten it up.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I'm just kind of smacking up some stuff from different games of how they do their communication specifically, and you know, these round tables that Really Geek mentioned, which is actually they're very, very good. They're hour long round tables about solid movement in the future of the game. I think New World is in a bit of a different place than Guild Wars 2, but like it's a very good video. Like it's very succinct, very much they're talking. They don't show much footage, which they could do. They talk about everything the community wants addressed. They talk about it, and I'm like, these videos are next level awesome. They're so good. They've changed so much in their game already. I'm hoping that they can turn it around I'm not really that kind of person who doesn't want other people to succeed, especially just because it's competing with an MMORPG that I enjoy. I would rather the genre succeeds generally, so more people put games out and more money goes into these projects. Obviously Amazon, you know, probably they've got a little bit of money anyway, so they're fine. But like, I really like how they do their kind of update videos, and I think like, you know, Ruby definitely, like, I mean, I think as well, like more specifically, you could even delve into other hosts of like stuff. You know, you can like start getting some streamers or content creators to do hosting. I mean, obviously Brooke's done like flipping reading for like the whole, you know, obviously can do that. We've had hosts as well in Guild Wars 2 in the past. I've done some hosting. We've got like other people, there's like Mike Teapot, other people as well who could easily fit into those roles of even just interviewing devs and stuff, maybe on the Guild Wars 2 channel, playing through the content like we did with Extra Life, you know, like that Extra Life live stream where we had tons of streamers coming in for that event is something that probably should happen monthly, honestly, and it could do. Just getting people, even if we just played the old dungeons, like imagine doing that. I mean, that seems like there's something they would not want to do. I don't want to promote content like that, but like, I don't know, like it was, I know we've gone way off concept, way off subject, and I'm not sure how I'm going to title this podcast.
Guild and community. It's about the social aspect of everything.
Thank you. I'm actually writing that down.
Guild and community.
Guild and community. All I want to do is a more specific one about that. But like that's going to be a beast in its own. But that's
well, I mean, I did love that they did. I mean, and I got to see so many of you get featured or like join us on the follow-up stuff after the launch day live stream and the release, right? Yes. Where they had like the rotating cast. I think it is difficult for companies like this because there's a real sense of like content creators do and don't work with your game, right? And like that's absolutely like fair. You know, there are certain protections that being signed under a contract, being signed under an NDA, knowing the company policies, knowing like the level of exactly, you know, there are very certain specific things that like large scale, absolutely, I get why they do not just turn the whole channel over to content creators. It would be a disaster. It would be like
I mean,
on
they
fire.
actually did that though, actually, and it went pretty well for 24 hours.
But yeah. But like,
24 hours.
It was more of like a scheduled event.
That was interesting.
It was more of a scheduled event, and I mean, you know, there's like certain specific things with that too, as opposed to like we're gonna let these content creators run all of our Twitch streaming. Like, if that makes sense.
You say that, but we can actually do that. That's like a known thing we can do. No one wants to. I mean, people would rather obviously, you know, promote their own channels so they can do that.
I mean, that's where I think, I mean, we even see this in Guild Wars 2 though, right? Because a lot of the team, and gosh, even Grouch, like literally started out as content creators. So like, that's where you start bridging the gap more to like actually hiring people that work in those fields and then using them as part of your team. Oh gosh, 1 second. I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Yeah. Right.
Bless you.
Repeat.
Thank you. But like, there are certain protections and things like that in NDAs, not the kind of stuff that has to be signed. So it's like I get why that is not something maybe that large scale happens all the time. But yeah, I do agree. I think that like even just now we were talking about you know, bridging the gap or like support for certain types of content. If you want to get people hyped about Living Season 1, then like this new release, this would be a great time to be doing, you know, talk about the original Living Season 1. There's some great recap videos of it and stuff out there. Maybe like bring some players on that experienced
Play
it
the
or
strike.
stuff, or
Get the creators in. Play the damn strike. They will
like
be
do the strike.
Yeah.
And then at the release come in and release that. I think it is just about kind of like building out those features that you want to showcase and then how you showcase them to the community so that everybody's on board across a variety of mediums.
I mean, they could totally do that. They could totally play the strike that's coming up from like that 11 world. I'm assuming that, I can't remember if there is a strike. There is a strike coming with it, right?
For the final episode.
The final episode of it. Okay, fair enough. Well, if it's ready now, just play it. I don't know, whatever. Or when it comes along. But like, they could do that. Like, there's no reason they couldn't. I mean, we could also they could have played the strike, or one or two of the strikes from when, you know, pre End of Dragons. That's something that could have been done as well. It's weird that there is this weird kind of like, spoilers definitely a thing, and I get that. But MMORPGs have had PTRs and since the dawn of time. I feel like, you know, and that's for expansions as well. Like, you know, Elder Scrolls got wait, actually, has Final Fantasy 14 got a PTR?
No, they do not. They're one of the weird exceptions, and that they have no PTR. They have they're very like tightly controlled about any of those things. Very closed source.
Interesting. All right, so maybe not everyone. There's definitely games
Final
that
Fantasy
do.
14 and Guild Wars 2 are the the two that I know that don't have a testing system.
Yeah. And there's ways that you don't have to like get spoiled. You just don't go to them, right? But like,
and Guild Wars 2 does have they have betas and things like that, which I think are good. I honestly kind of like having that middle ground better than I do a full-on PTR. Like, I was just recently casting WoW's Race to Worlds First, and it was the weirdest thing to me because I couldn't figure out initially when I was doing my preliminary research why everybody knew all the mechanics for the bosses. And then I went, oh my god, they played them all on PTR.
Yeah, you can play full expansions before they release.
Yeah,
I was just like, I was so confused, and I was like, okay, so then wait, what's the surprise? And I was like, oh, it's that like maybe this level of difficulty, they only have the written text on like mythic mechanics, but they do still have all the written mechanics for mythic, except that the last couple bosses this time around, you haven't been able to run. So that's going to be sight unseen for them. But like, it did bring up some really interesting conversations even with that community, where I was asking, because I was curious, while we were casting and we were commentating, I was like, how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel as though this is something where you'd like to see a race in the future where like stuff was a first time surprise for everybody? Do you feel like you enjoy having this preparation so that you can strategize? Do you enjoy so it was interesting hearing that feedback, right? And yeah, every game handles it differently. I think Guild Wars 2 does a nice job with some of their betas, especially recently. I've really enjoyed that we get to sample certain things and test them, but it's not as though the whole experience is ruined. As far as live streams go, I mean, like, if it's out and stuff, I don't like, you can choose not to tune in. I think that's the context you were talking about more so, Jeb. But
yeah, that's it. It's I think PTR is really important for bug fixing. That's the main reason that because, as we know, MMORPGs, like, they can only be QA'd so much. Like, when you've got them out on a server in the public eye, like, when you're in QA, I think you have a certain way of testing that's very unique and specific and is a skill. But I think as the public, people tend to do things which may not occur as specific ways as well. And yeah, PTR is just like another extension of like QA. I guess like one of the lot. That's how I see it as well. But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily important for Guild Wars 2 anyway. It was just more of a. It would be nice to see some advanced stuff played through on stream with the option of just being like, spoiler, be careful, don't do the things, and just for like even like build some hype around some stuff, because I think they did pretty well with that leading up to End of Dragons, but now it's died.
It's not technically like season 1 is going to be spoiled because it's full on knowledge.
Yeah,
so it's not something you really have to keep super close to your chest. I mean, lots of events that happen in season 1 are referenced in the expansion and throughout the game. So technically they're already spoiled before you go and play it. It'll just be that like actual experience of going through the motions that might be new to some players.
And they're going to
myself included.
change it anyway. I don't think they're going to rehash. They're not just rehash. I mean, they can't rehash a lot of the stuff because they'd have to change the world.
Yeah, they're refining it down and polishing certain aspects of the story to better fit the narrative.
Yes, I think they had mentioned as well that because like a lot of it was sort of your choice where you go, what you do, how you, like what part of it you've engaged with, that they were bringing all those pieces together to try and tell a more coherent, like throughput narrative, so that there will be things that, yes, even people that played Living Season 1 probably will not have seen word for word and stuff like that and additional scenes, but that they like wanted to sort of bring together in a more linear storytelling manner. So yeah, I mean, I think really honestly, this is a big horizon for Guild Wars 2. I think they have made so many good positive changes. Oh my gosh, I can't state it enough for all of our feedback and all of our discussion. There have been so many good things that have happened. You know, we always provide our insight as content creators or people in the space and things, but I do want to just see them keep growing in this direction because like we really have a whole new horizon ahead of us for this game and it's so exciting. And those like little refinements or even like, again, like we were talking about community, even going to guild halls, all these different things, the potential of certain areas. I hope they keep kind of developing that further because I think they found some really good tools and they have good stuff in this game that like can be built off of, and in the community itself, and even in our live streaming and the capabilities there, like getting more information to more people is always the goal so that they know what they are getting and what they can enjoy in the game.
Cool. I think we're gonna kind of go towards a wrapping up place, but next week I'm still thinking about what we're going to talk about. We could probably
Season
move on
1.
to, I mean, it's not out until the 19th.
Oh wait,
right?
yeah, it's in 2 weeks.
I thought, I thought it was next week as well. I double checked. So we'll talk about that week after. But next week we'll probably talk about Echo of Our Wilds, about the map. We haven't even had a post launch chat about the elite specializations either.
No.
There is a lot of different podcasts I have planned. There's also some gameplay, some playthroughs. I want to do some like strike stuff, and then we talk about strikes and play them at the same time. But yeah, loads of fun stuff. And if you want to get involved in some of the stuff as well, you should join the LightBringers Guild, people. That's what you should do. ! LightBringers. There you go. And if you're listening to this live, not live, then it will be in the description. Hopefully, there will be a link to the application form and all the things, so we can send you all the info and you can get invited in game, as well as send an invite for Discord as well. But otherwise, I think we're going to end it there. If everyone is happy and joyful, I'm trying to like keep them a little bit more. Little shorter, so like I'm not invading everyone's day. There will obviously be times when we
6-hour podcasts.
Yeah, a little bit keen about stuff. That definitely probably will happen.
You're like, we're gonna go for a lunch break for 15 minutes. Come back.
Well, we used to do that. We did that a couple of times, didn't we? Breaks.
Yeah, like a 5-minute break.
Nice, actually. That was good. But yeah, the Guild Hall was really, really fun. Just to summarize, Guild Hall is awesome. Again, you know, all the things that come along with that, whether or not you can go back to them, it opened a whole, so much conversation.
It opened a whole hole.
Hole it in the hole, Chris.
I'm done.
You should definitely go and watch Crave play Elden Ring as well.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be delirious tonight.
I didn't watch last week, so I'm gonna have to come and see your no-death attempt.
It's great. It's going well.
I feel like delirious is the best way to play Elden Ring, to be honest.
Yes.
So
I do. I actually have it. Someone gifted it to me, so I'm gonna.
Me too. And I was like, now I have to play it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Damn it. Okay, so Boots, tell us what you do, where you do it.
Right. Hi, I'm back.
Yeah, I was gonna say Boots has been like AFK for the last hour. Just listening to us to talk about rubbish.
Yeah, I was listening. I am going to be making some more bad builds, slowly but surely, once a month maybe, and they're gonna be up on World of Vendors on YouTube. and I stream usually twice a week, but sometimes once a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and at boots_, and you can find me on Twitter at World of Vendors. That's me.
When's the YouTube and the Twitter name gonna change?
Oh, I don't think the YouTube name is gonna change.
Wow.
He's got too many followers. Like, you don't want to do that on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you've actually got
did.
following. Yeah. Well, you've got
I guess
following as
Kroof
well.
Gaming to Kroof wasn't that big of a jump.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a complete
Also,
identity change.
Also, I got all my used to be 8-year-old to 13-year-old Minecraft with my girlfriend fans who are now probably 20-something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you need to feed off of those a little bit. They can afford to like become members and stuff now. So you know, get them into MMORPGs.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
amazing. And I played Boots' Bad Build last Sunday. So on Sunday nights, I'm playing.
But you were trying too hard to play it like a normal elementalist.
Yeah, I know. Wait, why are you laughing?
It's not laughing. He was playing like a really good elementalist player, but that's not what you're supposed to do with a bad build.
No, it was difficult. It was difficult. I had to
You
do
missed
something
the
specific.
spirit.
Yeah.
You got to go wild with it.
I mean, I did okay. Like, I got it in the end,
Yeah,
but it's just like I tried playing it as a support actually. And
It's
it was
interesting.
actually
Like
pretty good.
what you started like going towards with it is similar to Grimjack did the same thing. He started with the build and was like, I'm just gonna move this in this direction, more supporty, and it's much better now.
Yeah. It's actually a lot of fun. It's still squishy because Ellie, but like it's very, very good. I'll slap the build on in the background while we're doing outros. Apparently the mess is broken. The mess is just black. It's just darkness. Oh my god. Boots, thank you very much for coming back on. Awesome to have you here. Good stuff. Proof. Oh god. Again.
It's stretching. Hi.
You have the most random stretches. Like what?
Oh, do I just go? Do you just okay?
Well, you're going. I mean, you don't want to do an outro. You're just gonna end the call.
No. Do I just do an outro? There's no lead up. That's okay. I don't need an announcement.
Kroof. All right, wait a minute. Oh.
What is this?
Kroof, known as Kroof in Guild Wars 2's community. Tell us about yourself, where you do the things, and if you like to eat apples on a Monday night whilst also watching The Crystal Maze.
Crystal Maze.
It's a very good show in England.
God. I need a Tylenol. What is going on? Hi everyone. I'm Kroof. I do a lot of YouTube stuff. I have a lot of builds actually pumping out on the channel, even more on the Patreon. So that is there. Also in terms of Twitch, doing Guild Wars 2 throughout the week. Friday I do Elden Ring. And thank you so much for having me on.
Elden Ring streamer now. Nice.
A little bit. I'm branching out. I'm like a tree that's blossoming, and it's a death tree. It's just kind of wilting. But also throughout this entire podcast, my eyes have been watering because of the fan and the heat. So this has been fun, and sunscreen fumes. So I've been having a great time, honestly. Just slowly crying throughout the entire live stream.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's great.
It's great. Well, go follow
It's gonna be
Kroof.
okay.
Thank you very much for coming out again and joining us on the show. You're a legend. Why are you laughing? You're just like, you don't know what...
Crew, eating cornbread off the floor, having syphilis and crying during a podcast. You know, just Crew.
Just Kroof things.
Oh, also, everyone, go watch my Go watch last night's stream. It was I had a really big announcement last night, so if you want to go watch the VOD.
Wait,
it's
what?
important.
Actually? Did you actually have a big announcement, or is this like a funny meme announcement that you had?
No. I actually had a
Would you
big
want to do it
announcement.
now as
Well,
well?
what-
No. I left it for stream. You have to go watch that.
Kroof!
Are you
Can
serious?
you watch it right now?
I'm being serious.
Can you link the VOD so I can like watch it?
Do you have a clip? Crew, if you can't just drop this.
What did you announce? Was it a serious announcement? Or was it you like being cured?
You can watch it. It's good.
See this. Oh, geez. Already we're off to a good start looking at the thumbnail.
Let's see up your nose.
Wait, where is it?
Your nose is beautiful, Crew.
Thanks. My
This is a long,
Statuesque.
I stare at you?
very long clip, Kroof.
Oh, thank you for the screenshot as well.
It's very important announcement.
Is it a clip?
What is this, Crew?
I'm gonna play it. I'm putting it on the
I mean,
podcast.
yes, sure. I've always wanted to stare soulfully into your eyes, but
Okay. Is this appropriate material for the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
absolutely
appropriate.
is, yeah.
I think you've just maybe started a new trend a la ASMR. I think maybe this is a new thing that's going to be taking off.
I stream this under the category of animals, aquariums, and zoos.
Amazing.
Okay, let's go and have a look while we're here.
I can't.
I'm so hot.
You just literally stared?
For like 15, 20 minutes.
Crew! You can't do this.
I wanted to.
This is a performance piece. This is very avant-garde.
It's very avant-garde.
It changes up throughout the stream.
I really love it. I love it like a lot. Like it's one of my favorite things I've ever seen on
Like
Twitch.
4, 5, 6 or 5 people came by, and it's so fun.
It's so long. My boots, it's so long.
It is pretty long. My eyes hurt so badly.
My
Or
goodness.
if you are just like actual chaos in a human, and I adore it. It's so good. It's so good.
You have a nice ceiling.
Thank you. It's wood, so it gets really hot, which is why it's hot.
What? What is going on with the nose?
I just wanted everyone to get very
Sniffing.
comfortable.
We can see the
bring
pores.
it.
You can see the actual pores on your nose and your
Yeah.
and
I
the
have
like
blackheads on my nose.
and the like bloodshot eyes and
You know, Twitch is a medium. Opens up far more possibilities beyond just gaming. And I think, Kroof, you're pushing those boundaries, and somebody has to,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. I mean, thank you as well. Someone just subscribed because of that. So
Yay.
thank you.
You found their.
God, I am so angry that I didn't see you're going. I mean, like, I have your notification set, Kroof, because I'd never forget myself after I missed the one stream. And so, like, I'm so angry I did not come in on this, because this would have made my entire week if I had opened up your stream and this is what what was happening.
Winking? Are you winking right now?
I like to. It was. I mixed it up.
You
I had the
purposefully
dynamic
blinked.
aspect.
This is blinking, double eyes, blinking.
That's a blink. Yeah. That's a blink.
You have very nice, chocolate, beautiful brown eyes.
Thank you.
Oh, you
Very
stopped the
good.
stream. Were you trying to stop the stream by blinking?
No. Oh, at the end I did.
Oh. Okay. Wait.
Oh no! Audio for portions of this video has been muted.
Animals,
What?
aquariums, and zoos. Okay.
Yes, Kroof did
I
announce.
thought that was the only.
Oh, that's sorry. My thing moved on to your next stream, and it was a Guild Wars 2 stream, and which is a thing actually. Apparently, some of the
Yeah.
songs from End of Dragons mute your audio in game.
They do.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
do. They still are, even though they're supposed to not do it. I don't know what's up. It's weird. That was beautiful, Kroof. That was a real experience that we just had.
Thank you.
I experienced something there. It was
Kroof's
good.
game, yeah, Kroof's gameplay. That's what I'm going to do on the outros. I'm actually going to show like some footage as long as I got the camera sorted out. But yeah, Kroof, as you can see, he's playing Elden Ring on their stream
Not a
recently.
single death.
Thanks for my long outro. I appreciate it.
Good job. Good job. Make sure you go and see the things, do the people. Do the things, see the
Please
people.
do people.
If that's
I
what you're
love
into.
doing people.
Some people don't like to do people, and that's okay too. But you
yeah,
know,
no, I mean, I guess so.
you know, Do whatever makes you happy, or whoever.
Doing them what?
Crew's gonna melt and die. We have to finish this.
Yeah. Go on. Do your outro. I'm trying to find Rook's flipping channel. It's not working. Why?
I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
What's going on?
Oh no.
That's your content right now? Is it Rookery underscore? Why is your search not working? So weird.
Yes.
Have you been
How's
banned?
That's no, it's just ROOKURI, twitch.tv, ROOKURI.
Oh, there's no underscore.
Oh no, it's only on Twitter that there's an underscore.
Oh, I did the underscore thing. Okay, all right. So Rookery, tell us what you do, where you do it, and you don't need to tell us who. That was not like a thing
that's
that
what I
people
was
needed
gonna
to
lead with.
Okay, all right, go on then.
You can find me playing video games, I guess, on Twitch, on YouTube, at Rookery, ROOKURI. My first portion of my End of Dragons playthrough is up. It is up now at last. Ooh. So if you're curious about how I felt, how much I cried, how long I talked about dragons and architecture and tiny Tengu hats, you can now go find out. And it turns out a very long time I spent getting very excited about those. So that's up, so you can check that out. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter, Rookery _, the only place that exists. And then on Instagram, Rookery as well. I'm not as good about updating Instagram, but it's there and it exists, and sometimes I put stuff on it. So everything else you can find is usually playing one of our two favorite MMOs, Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2. Sometimes occasionally doing other games, but for the most part, vibing out in MMOs and talking about them while we try to foster the kind of community we'd like to see, just across the board in all games. So yes, that's me.
Nice. I showed you playing some Final Fantasy XIV. There we go.
Oh.
Awesome. Excellent. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today, including if you're listening live or not, or playing and joining us as well. Joining us, in the game, getting the guild hall. Thank you very much indeed. If you want to go and follow me as well, twitch.tv/JebroUnity. You are here right now potentially, and you may also be raiding as well, raiding live right now. Let me just snap this on in the background. There we go. But basically, yes, hopefully we'll be back next week. No one will be fired. It's going to be fine. But yes, I play lots of MMORPGs as well. Guild Wars 2, I would say, is my main game, along with like ESO and also New World. And we're going back to Star Wars: The Old Republic soon as well. I stream a little bit less than normal than I used to, because I'm in internship right now. So if you do want to support the channel, this is how I make a living. So twitch.tv/JebroUni. You can sub, you can donate, you can throw bits, you can just chuck a follow. And I would encourage you to do exactly the same thing with all of our awesome guests that we've had today as well. I massively appreciate if you support our friends. And also just anyone else that's ever been on the show and ever will be. So all content creators in the world, support them all. But otherwise, I've been Jebro. We'll be back next week about 12 p.m. Pacific as well, depending on whether or not we can get Kroof to stop staring at their webcam.
It was my phone.
It was your phone? Oh.
My phone.
Oh, okay.
I can do it in bed next time too.
I think you deserve to. The audience deserves to see that.
You'll never know when it's gonna happen.
So prepare yourself. Make sure notifications are enabled on Kroof's channel. You're gonna want to.
That's my marketing ploy.
Good lord. Yes, thanks for the raids and stuff. We are going now, unfortunately. So thank you very much. Anki Zorik just raiding us towards the end of the stream. And go and check him out. All right, peeps. Otherwise, we're going to go and raid someone as well. Just find out if we can do that too. Somewhere. Oh, we didn't have Pretty Cool Patch Hollow. There we go. Okay. What's everyone else doing for the rest of the day?
Drinking water, eating food,
Beautiful.
Dinner.
Maybe going to the gym because they have AC.
Ooh.
That's fair.
Can you get like a window AC unit, crew?
It's expensive.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, okay. Everybody please go donate a ton of money to Crew for more eye and nose content, and so that they can get a window AC unit.
That's all I want.
Do it. Okay. We're gonna raid Laura.
Yes, I was thinking Laura in my brain. Yay.
That was
Awesome.
a good raid.
Okay, peeps. Thank you so much for watching again. Don't forget to check out the LightBringers podcast every week. Loads of episodes. Season 2, episode 4. Guilds and everything. See you next time on the LightBringers podcast. Take care and happy trails.